Chapter 1600. Li Zongjio rested for a night. Then he went to the mission residence. In this kind of mission residence, one could see all kinds of recruitment information. As long as you had enough strength to complete it, you could go to the designated location to sign up. Li Zongjio browsed through it. It was like a mercenary mission. Most of them were just some simple personnel recruitment, doing some ordinary things. Some people had already established their power in the main city and formed a sizable force. For example, buying a mansion or doing some kind of business, would this kind of person also appear? Recruiting when there wasn't enough people? Some would also recruit some hitmen to complete some killing missions. Li Zongjio took a fancy to one of the missions. Rescue mission? There was a rich man's daughter in the city who had been kidnapped by the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold. Recently, the rich man's family in the city had been recruiting people to save their daughter. Now, they had recruited many experts. However, there were still 2 empty spots among the 30 people. Just by participating and reaching the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold, you can get 50 soul beans. If you save the rich man's daughter, you can get 500 soul beans. Li Zongjio's eyes lit up. At least for now, this mission was simple and convenient. Most importantly, during this process, killing enemies would increase the soul beans. Moreover, as long as the fatal blow was delivered by you, the soul beans would belong to you. The so-called soul beans increase. For example, if this Hotian rank 7 bandit was killed, you would get double the soul beans. Therefore, this was what Li Zongjio took a fancy to. East of the city, Shi family. When Li Zongjio saw the contact address, he hurriedly made his way towards the Shi family in the east of the city. Shi family courtyard. There were a total of 8 people who came to apply. However, only 2 people were needed in the end. They were in charge of the selection and were also in charge of this mission. They were the Shi family's #1 expert bodyguard, Shibuyu. Like his name, he was taciturn. His resolute gaze was like a knife that could pierce through your heart at any time. Shibuyu was wearing a short black suit, revealing the muscles on his arms. It looked like it was filled with power. It was said that Shibuyu could crush a Xiantian expert with his bare hands. Shibuyu's sharp eyes sized up the 8 candidates present. This operation could be said to be extremely important. They could not allow anyone to fool around and swindle soul beans. My name is Shibuyu. Now, each of you punch me once. If you can make me retreat, then you'll be qualified. The 7 of them looked over. Li Zongjio looked around the rich man's courtyard. The style of this courtyard was pretty good. The garden design was unique. He just didn't know how many soul beans it would take to buy it. Li Zongjio was the latest to arrive, so he was the last in line. 5 of the 7 people in front of him? His fist was weak and powerless. But fortunately, there were 2 with decent strength. Using all their strength, they finally forced Shibuyu to take a step back. Although Shibuyu was not very satisfied, he had no other choice. Time was of the essence and there was no room for delay. Okay, it'll be the 2 of you. Li Zongjio was stunned. What was this? That was it? The rules of the game were obviously wrong. Li Zongjio immediately shouted. Wait a minute. Li Zongjio said. The rest of the people also looked over one after another. Although age and appearance were not a problem, one's aura was also very important. This was a sign that belonged to experts. Whether one was an expert or not, others could tell at a glance. Li Zongjio was a scholar who had never killed a person, not even a chicken. How could such a person have the face to come to such a place? The limitless true flame great world had existed for countless years. Other than countless people who came from the lower world, there were also many people who lived here. It formed a feeling that they would always be in the underworld. Only here, they had to live every day and fight for their lives. But there were also many people who were not good at killing, but other things. This was an action full of blood and killing. Li Zongjio was such a weak scholar. Was he here to freeload? Among the 7 people, both the winners and losers could not help but laugh at Li Zongjio. Furthermore, in their eyes, someone like Li Zongjio shouldn't have appeared in this place. Shibuyu also furrowed his brows. But because he was a man of few words, he did not say anything. Li Zongjio didn't care about the disdainful gazes directed at him. How many steps did they push you back just now? Li Zongjio asked. How many steps did they push him back? Shi Buyu said disdainfully. 1 step. To be able to push him back this step, it was because the latter went a little easy on him. Otherwise, these people would not even be able to push him back half a step. Li Zongjio pointed. About 30 steps away from a rattan chair. Do you believe that 1 punch of mine can make you feel at ease on the rattan chair immediately? Li Zongjio said indifferently. What kind of presumptuous words were these? Shi Buyu himself also sneered. The rest of the people also laughed at him. Everyone laughed, but Li Zongjio also smiled slightly to show his politeness. Shi Buyu gradually let go of his smile. He was already prepared to teach this arrogant young man a harsh lesson. Come, Shi Buyu said. But Li Zongjio threw out a palm across the air. When he was 6 steps away from Shi Buyu, he threw out a palm in the air. Bang! Shi Buyu originally thought that this was a weak move. But when he was hit by the real attack, he also immediately understood how terrifying the might of this move was. Without a doubt, Shi Buyu was directly thrown out. He flew accurately to the rattan chair 30 steps away. Bang! Immediately, he sat down on the chair. Everyone was shocked. Shi Buyu was also an expert in external strength, and his lower body was as stable as the roots of an old tree. But he was instantly thrown out of the ground by Li Zongjio, and he fell on the rattan chair in an instant. Most importantly, Shi Buyu was not injured. To be able to control the power in such a way, it meant that if Li Zongjio wanted to smash his body, it would only take 1 palm. An expert, an absolute expert. Shi Buyu did not think that he actually made an error of judgment. Li Zongjio in front of him was an absolute expert. There was no doubt. As for the murderous aura, that was also because Li Zongjio's aura had been completely cultivated to a restrained level. This kind of person looked amiable, but if he fought, just the aura that erupted from his body could turn into countless knives and tear you to pieces. Li Zongjio smiled and withdrew his hand. Young hero, you have great skills, great skills. A middle-aged man walked out of the courtyard. This person was the owner of this mansion. Shi Wanjin. Shi Wanjin's huge family business would eventually be targeted by others. This time, just these people kidnapped Shi Wanjin's daughter and demanded a total of 5,000 soul beans. Even if Shi Wanjin had a bit of capital, 5,000 soul beans was still a bit too much. Therefore, in the end, Shi Wanjin decided to spend 2,000 soul beans to recruit experts and wipe out all of the people in the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold. Otherwise, if there was a first time, there would be a second time. With your help, my daughter can finally be saved. Shi Wanjin said excitedly. It's my duty. If it weren't for the soul beans, Li Zongjio wouldn't have come here. It was obvious that the job of harvesting soul beans wasn't easy. However, the difficulty of this mission was relatively low. The strongest, Shi Buyu, was only at innate level 1. Therefore, it was easy for Li Zongjio to send him flying. There was no difficulty at all. Shi Buyu also admired Li Zongjio's strength. However, the number of 30 people was not small. The person who had passed the assessment was also directly eliminated, under Shi Wanjin's repeated instructions. Shi Buyu also set off with 30 experts, riding on the flying boat. On the flying boat, Shi Buyu was also explaining the plan to everyone. Everyone listened attentively. However, Li Zongjio saw a square-faced man whose eyes were flickering as if he was thinking about something. There's a problem. The flying boat left Scarlet Soul City. It flew towards the direction of the deep mountains. Chapter 1601. Poison Dragon Stronghold. In other words, he was the king of a mountain in a forest. Furthermore, it was said that the fort master of this Poison Dragon stronghold possessed a Xiantian-level poison dragon that was hiding in this Poison Dragon stronghold, causing people to tremble in fear upon hearing its name. Li Zongjio was confused. Why do these people look so strange as well? It felt like they were preset. The plot was ordinary. Although Shi Buyu looked like a real person, he had obvious problems. However, there was a very obvious problem with him. He didn't like to talk, and the emotions he expressed were very wrong. You must be a newbie. When the square-faced man saw Li Zhongjio's puzzled expression, he immediately laughed in disdain. Huh! Li Zhongjio frowned. These are preset plots. The spaceship can't reach Poison Dragon's stronghold. The square-faced man said. Oh! Li Zhongjio guessed it. However, he was still very shocked by such a result. The great Emperor Shen Tian created the Wuji True Flame world, which meant that he had the ability to create worlds. Since he had created worlds, it was normal for him to create people. It wasn't hard to understand. It even felt like, as we usually said, everything was predetermined. That was because when someone created the world, everything had been arranged. But the world created by the great Emperor Shen Tian had some flaws after all. These flaws caused Shibuyu and the others to feel uncomfortable. Although they looked the same, there was a world of difference. They were real people. But the thoughts and missions that they were given had been brought forward. It was preset. Li Zhongjio didn't ask much. If they couldn't reach Poison Dragon's stronghold on the spaceship, why did the square-faced man come? Why did the others come? Well, obviously, except for Li Zhongjio and the square-faced man, the rest of the people on the spaceship were preset. Puppets. That's what we call them, the square-faced man said. The square-faced man said. At the same time, his eyes were fixed on a certain direction in the sky, as if he was waiting for something to arrive. Puppets? That's an interesting name. At this moment, Li Zhongjio sensed a strong attack coming quickly. The target of the attack was their spaceship. Boom! The spaceship was blown to pieces without any reservation. The square-faced man had already turned over and landed on the ground the moment the spaceship was hit. Whoosh! Li Zhongjio didn't land on the ground. Instead, he was looking for the direction of the explosion. What? Li Zhongjio's body rose to the sky. But he saw a small spaceship in front. On the flying boat, there was a cannon that was emitting black smoke. Clearly, it was the explosion of this thing that blew up the flying boat. Shibuyu's body was also in the air. However, the rest of the Hotian realm cultivators all fell to the ground and were heavily injured. Look at that again. The square-faced man had already hidden himself in the forest, disappearing without a trace. Li Zhongjio could see that the other party had set up a formation in this place in advance. Now, he was using the power of this formation to hide his body. It was smart. Shibuyu clenched his fists. He stared at the small spaceship with the cannon in front. When Li Zhongjio saw this cannon, he was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. Origin railgun? Even Li Zhongjio himself was stunned. The Origin railgun actually appeared here. But the other parties? The Origin railgun was obviously an upgraded version. It was different from the one created by Xiao Zhao and the others. It was much more advanced. Li Zhongjio naturally believed that this should be a product of the upper world or other worlds. It seemed that all things developed in the same direction. Since this upper world already had it, it meant that the Shanggu continent was also walking the same path that this upper world had once walked. At least now, the Shanggu continent could be considered to have touched this level, which was related to the laws of the world. But here, they could find even more advanced technology. This made Li Zhongjio's eyes light up, bringing the advanced technology of this upper world to the Shanggu continent. Naturally, it could also strengthen the defense of the Shanggu continent. But now, the most important thing was, it was to improve his strength. The armed forces of the Shanggu continent could be considered to be sufficient. If he encountered a real expert, these things would still be useless. Shibuyu, you want to attack the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold? It's simply wishful thinking. It was obvious that the people on this small spaceship were also the minions of the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold. But because of the existence of the advanced Origin railgun in their hands. So, they could threaten Shibuyu. Shibuyu's body was also shaken by the explosion just now. If it wasn't for his innate Origin energy protecting his body, he would have been crushed. Just now, he would have been directly blown to pieces. Those who were not strong enough had already been turned into ashes. Li Zhongjio also saw that on the ground, there were many people from the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold who were attacking on the ground. Some people who were seriously injured but not dead were also attacking on the ground. It was very cruel and very real. It seemed that these puppets were not easy to deal with. These puppets died again? Then they also turned into soul beans? However, these soul beans automatically fell into the hands of these people who were attacking on the ground. Others could not take them away. After Li Zongjio took a look, he also felt that this kind of setting was rather interesting. But no matter what, the logic was the same. It was fine as long as the enemy was crippled. This was the hard truth. At this moment, Shirbuyu's fighting strength had obviously decreased greatly. But in order to go to the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold and save his young miss, he still carried his seriously injured body and rushed forward. Boom! The opponent once again fired out an origin railgun. When the square-faced man who was hiding on the ground saw the second shot, he shook his head regretfully. No one could avoid the second shot? Li Zongjio had probably been blasted into pieces by now. But after waiting for a while, the square-faced man was shocked. Looking up at the sky, another explosion was heard. He saw that the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold's flying boat had actually exploded out of thin air. Boom! The flying boat exploded, and two small fries fell from the sky. Li Zongjio, on the other hand, grabbed the high-grade origin railgun amidst the flames. Good stuff. Li Zongjio took a look at the origin railgun, then put it away. The operation of the origin railgun. Not everyone knew about it. Coincidentally, Li Zongjio knew how to use it. It was mostly because Xiao Zhao had led people to research this origin railgun. Although it was only a low-level version. But this thing was all different and had the same result. He just needed to familiarize himself with it a little. Shirbuyu also thought that he was going to die. But before he could see clearly, Li Zongjio had already finished off the opponent, which shocked Shirbuyu. He didn't expect Li Zongjio to be so powerful. How is this possible? When the square-faced man saw this, his eyes widened, and he looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. He didn't know how many times he had participated in this rescue mission. Shirbuyu had never survived that shot. Basically, when the second shot appeared, he was already dead. Then, he just needed to wait for everyone in the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold to leave, and then he would arrive at the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold and complete the mission. He would receive 50 soul beans. However, this array formation of his would be easily destroyed by the other party. It was not an easy task to build it up. It was precisely because of this that it wasn't easy to carry out this mission continuously. But these years, he had repeated this mission at least 100 times. He had seen all kinds of situations, but this was the first time he saw the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold's flying ship being shot down. Bush. Li Zongjio and Shirbuyu landed on the ground. Shirbuyu immediately coughed and spat out a mouthful of blood. It was obvious that he wouldn't live for long. His internal injuries were too serious. When the two of them landed, 10 or so people from the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold rushed over. These people were originally going to do the last hit on the ground. But when they saw the flying ship being shot down, they rushed out without hesitation. A sharp sword appeared in Li Zongjio's hand. He waved the unparalleled sword easily. Immediately, a terrifying sword chi killed all the people around him. They were all 5th level pre-celestial. They were only 5th level absolute saints. However, Li Zongjio's killing of these people now had bonuses. A total of 12 people and 120 soul beans were taken by Li Zongjio. Not bad. Li Zongjio was very satisfied. The square-faced man who was hiding in the distance was stunned. Immortal weapon. This young man was actually an expert with an immortal weapon. It was simply shocking. After the danger was gone, the square-faced man walked out with a nervous heart. I didn't expect to meet an expert. I'm Hong Long, Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio cupped his hands and said. At the same time, the two of them looked at the heavily injured Shirbuyu. As if he could see Li Zongjio's reluctance, Hong Long said slowly. I've participated in this mission hundreds of times. His fate is here. Did that mean that no one could save him? Li Zongjio, on the other hand, laughed. Fate? I don't believe in fate. I believe in myself. After saying that, Li Zongjio injected a surge of yuan energy into Shirbuyu's body. Chapter 1602. Yuan Li surged into Shirbuyu's body. Shirbuyu's life force, which was gradually fading away, was rapidly recovering at this moment. Li Zongjio took out a healing elixir. He refined the elixir's power and injected it into Shirbuyu's body. He helped Shirbuyu refine the elixir. A miracle appeared at this moment. Shirbuyu's vitality gradually recovered. Under Li Zongjio's powerful treatment, Shirbuyu's injuries were healed. Hong Long's eyes widened. How is this possible? Hong Long said in shock. Li Zongjio was truly defying the heavens. It was truly heaven-defying, and Li Zongjio had achieved it. What great path! What puppet! Before I, Evil Lord, came, you could do whatever you wanted. But after I, Evil Lord, came, everything depended on my mood. Li Zongjio's lips curled into a cold smile. As the Evil Lord, he naturally had to act like the Evil Lord. If he compromised so easily, it would directly weaken the reputation of the Evil Lord. You saved me. After Shirbuyu woke up, he looked at Li Zongjio in shock. Obviously, Shirbuyu, who was a puppet, also had a plot for the next round. However, with Hong Long's previous strength, there was no way for him to reach this level. Now, Li Zongjio had completed it. There was finally a breakthrough in this inconspicuous little mission. Let's go. We still have to save your Mississippi, Li Zongjio said with a smile. If the Black Heaven Emperor was the one who made the rules, then Li Zongjio would be the one who broke the rules. It was not that he had a problem with the Black Heaven Emperor, but that was his character. If anyone made Li Zongjio unhappy, he would make that person unhappy too. Shirbuyu, who had just woken up, didn't show any abnormalities? Although it was almost equivalent to dying once, Shirbuyu still did not give up on saving his miss from the sea of suffering. While moving, Shirbuyu led Li Zongjio and Hong Long to rush forward. After crossing this mountain range, they arrived at the Poison Dragon Mountain Stockade. From afar, Li Zongjio also saw the existence of a mountain stronghold on the opposite side of the mountain. Moreover, this mountain stronghold appeared to be heavily guarded and was not simple. Even if that ship wasn't destroyed, it would be impossible for them to break in with so few people. Moreover, Li Zongjio was also able to sense that there seemed to be an extremely powerful aura existing within this Poison Dragon Mountain Stockade. It should be the legendary Poison Dragon. Brother, don't blame me for not reminding you. Leave after you finish. Don't fight. Otherwise, the stockade's experts in the stockade will tear you to pieces. Hong Long walked to Li Zongjio's side and whispered. For Hong Long, who had been here many times, he still had this bit of experience. Moreover, he was also very clear about how many terrifying existences there were. It seemed that he saw that Li Zongjio's strength was not bad and he was a good person. Therefore, Hong Long could not help but remind him. However, it was up to Li Zongjio whether he listened or not. That poison dragon is a level 7 innate. A level 7 innate was already a very powerful existence. If it was placed in the main city's city guards, it would be at least a deputy commander. A terrifying existence of a level 7 innate would definitely make people vigilant. Even Li Zongjio himself frowned. The difficulty of this mission was actually so high. Level 7 innate. Li Zongjio himself was only a level 7 innate. If he wanted to fight with the other party and kill him, unless he used a curse, Li Zongjio didn't have much confidence in himself. Therefore, this mission was actually very difficult. Fortunately, he only needed to rescue the other party's daughter. He did not need to kill everyone in the mountain stronghold. In this way, there was still a chance. It would not be said that this mission was unattainable. I'll attack from the front. The two of you find an opportunity to rush in and rescue the Mississippi. If you can rescue our miss, the clan master will reward you handsomely. This was the most words that Shirbuyu said. He did not even have a specific plan. This made Li Zongjio a little speechless. After all, there was a plan before this. However, everyone was dead, so naturally, the plan had failed. Now that there were only 3 people, there was naturally no other way. They could only attack from the front. No problem. Li Zongjio nodded. Perhaps the person who set this rule wanted to make it impossible for others to complete this mission. In that case, Li Zongjio wanted to give it a try. He wanted to see if this mission could be completed. Just as he said that there was no problem, Shibuyu let out an earth-shattering roar and rushed towards the front door. Seeing this, Hong Long quickly rushed to the back door of the mountain stronghold. Then he touched the stone wall of the back door. Was this considered to be the completion of the mission? In front of Hong Long, a wave of energy suddenly condensed into 50 soul beans. Hong Long immediately put all the soul beans in his pocket. Li Zongjio also followed suit. Similarly, 50 soul beans appeared in front of him. The power of the natural order. Li Zongjio felt the appearance of these soul beans. If one didn't have enough power to resist the power of this law, then one's body would also be turned into soul beans by the power of this law once they lost their power. No one would be able to avoid it. If one wanted to break through, then one had to break through the final hurdle of the Wuji True Flame Great World. It was said that as long as one could break through to the end and defeat the Wuji True Lord's great Tao avatar, then the Wuji True Lord would personally appear to fulfill one's wish. Anything would do. Even if it was to revive one's lost loved ones, the Wuji True Lord would be able to succeed. It was quite unbelievable. However, until now, no one had been able to complete the legendary trial. The Wuji trial. Li Zongjio did not know how strong the Wuji True Lord was. However, the avatar that escaped was said to be the guardian of the first stage of the Wuji trial. Therefore, if one wanted to test whether one could defeat the Wuji True Lord, then one only had to work hard to break through the first stage of the Wuji trial. Just the first stage required one to be at least at the heavenly human realm. This was indeed an extremely difficult task. For this ultimate goal, Li Zongjio would definitely not give up easily. You really want to go in? Hong Long saw that Li Zongjio did not leave. Everything has to be tried. Since you're already here, don't you want to see what's behind this mountain stronghold? Li Zongjio smiled indifferently. Then, without caring about Hong Long, he leaped and arrived at the backyard of the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold. When Li Zongjio saw the things in the backyard of the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold, he took a deep breath. Immediately, he sucked in a breath of cold air, unable to laugh anymore. Chapter 1603. No story without coincidences. From where Li Zongjio landed, he happened to see the strongest expert in the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold. Poison Dragon. It was a venomous dragon with barbs all over its back. It was grabbing a wild boar and putting it into its mouth. There were also heavy chains on its hands and feet, directly locking it up. Next to the Poison Dragon's lair, there was a pile of white bones like a small mountain. Moreover, one could clearly see that there were a few human bones. Although Li Zongjio didn't know why there were human bones, he didn't know why there were still human bones. Didn't these people directly turn into soul beings after they died? Not even their corpses were left behind. Perhaps it was to increase the atmosphere, to create a more terrifying feeling. The Poison Dragon obviously also saw Li Zongjio. Immediately, he stopped eating the wild boar in his hand and directly threw it at Li Zongjio with all his might. Boom! The moment the Poison Dragon struck, it was earth-shattering as well. That immense power smashed the wall into smithereens. Li Zongjio didn't talk nonsense. At this point, what else could he say? The unparalleled sword appeared in his hand. Instantly, the strong sword energy was released. It quickly rushed forward. Boom! The sword energy vibrated. Immediately, there was a sharp aura rushing forward. It hit the Poison Dragon's body. It directly flipped the Poison Dragon's body to the ground. Obviously, the power of the sword had already surprised the Poison Dragon. He didn't expect it to be such a strong sword attack. It can't even break the defense. Li Zongjio was also surprised. The Poison Dragon that fell on the ground also climbed up at this moment. He opened his mouth and spat out hundreds of poison arrows. Swoosh, swoosh. The series of poison arrows. They directly rushed towards Li Zongjio. Immediately, Li Zongjio's body flashed, and he escaped to the side. Those poison arrows came one after another, and instantly, they blasted a small hole in the wall and the ground behind him. Moreover, the wall quickly collapsed because of the corrosion. However, below the ground, there was also a problem. The ground that was contaminated by the venom turned into a quagmire. If someone were to fall in at this time, The best way to describe it would be to not even leave a corpse behind. This venom is really strong, but you seem to be trapped. Li Zongjio also saw the poison dragon's situation. At this moment, the poison dragon itself seemed to be restricted, because no one had been able to undo the chains for the time being. Li Zongjio was also good at dealing with meta beasts. Now that he saw that the poison dragon was trapped, he thought that he might as well start a negotiation with the other party. I'll let you go and you can leave. I won't be your enemy, Li Zongjio said sincerely. The poison dragon was also stunned. Where did this guy get his courage from? He actually dared to negotiate with him. Puny creature, how dare you negotiate with me? The poison dragon immediately roared in anger. His temper was really quite irritable. The poison dragon immediately stomped its claws on the ground. Under Li Zongjio's body, there was suddenly a strong vibration. The ground kept collapsing and Li Zongjio kept retreating. When he retreated to the edge, he realized that the poison dragon's poison dragon pool was below. So this used to be your territory. When Li Zongjio saw this scene, he also came to a realization. The so-called Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold was built on top of the Poison Dragon pool. The other party must have some method to be able to do this and make the Poison Dragon so obedient. Let's join forces to attack the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold. After we're done, I'll return the Poison Dragon pool to you, Li Zongjio said. They were already at innate level 7 and naturally had intelligence. Just like Xian Shuang. That guy's intelligence wasn't simple either. Hence, the poison dragon also had intelligence. As long as they communicated properly, they would definitely be able to communicate. The poison dragon also realized that Li Zongjio was very slippery. It couldn't hit him no matter how hard it tried. Moreover, this weak creature didn't seem to be weak either. If you can bring me the head of the great master, I'll believe you, the poison dragon said. Ordinary people couldn't withstand its attack, but Li Zongjio could. Perhaps there was a chance for him to complete this task. Why don't I just let you go? Li Zongjio saw that the poison dragon actually had something to talk about. It was obvious that the poison dragon had been trapped for a long time. Naturally, it wanted to get out. Moreover, it wanted to take back its territory. This was the most important thing. Nothing else was more important than this. It was actually enslaved in its own territory. If this matter was spread out, it wouldn't be able to survive in this world. Who would have thought? It would be a joke if it was spread out. However, the poison dragon had no other choice. Hearing Li Zongjio's words, the poison dragon sneered. If you can break this paramount god chain, I'll listen to your commands in the future. So what? The poison dragon said. Li Zongjio heard that. Unexpectedly, there was such a good thing. Are you serious? Li Zongjio's interest was aroused. The so-called paramount god chain. No matter how powerful it was still a chain. No matter how strong it would still be broken. Poison Dragon Aotion, never boast. Aotion said in a deep voice. As someone who came out to make a living, he naturally had this bit of integrity. Why would he lie to you? He would definitely do what he said. Alright. Li Zongjio immediately let go of Unparalleled Sword. Allow Unparalleled Sword to do as it pleases? It hovered and danced around him. Although Unparalleled Sword couldn't show itself, it could still play a role in Unparalleled Sword and command it to fight for him. Hence, Li Zongjio wasn't worried at all. The poison dragon also knew Li Zongjio's scruples. He directly threw out a chain and threw it in front of Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio tried to use his hands to test it. It's really hard. Nonsense. Even my sharp claws can't break the chain. You think you can? Aotion was very arrogant. Now that he saw Li Zongjio using such a stupid method, he immediately regretted it. How could he have trusted this guy? He should have killed Li Zongjio directly, wasting his time. But then, Li Zongjio took out a small, pitch-black hammer. 10,000 dragon hammer. It was said that the hammer also contained the power of 10,000 dragons. Li Zongjio suddenly understood why his will eventually formed into a hammer. That was because Li Zongjio loved to break all kinds of rules. The best thing to use to break things was a hammer. Hence, Li Zongjio's will naturally became a hammer. I'm actually a hammer. Li Zongjio shook his head helplessly. Then he poured the power of his will into the 10,000 dragons hammer. Suddenly he smashed the paramount god chain. Clang! There was a sound of something breaking. It entered Ao Tian's ears clearly. Chapter 1604. Poison Dragon. Ao Tian could not believe it either. That's it? Your will is actually a hammer? Even Ao Tian was surprised. He thought that he had seen it wrongly. However, the power of the 10,000 dragon hammer was indeed explosive. Even Ao Tian himself was afraid of it and did not dare to fight against it. How is it? Li Zongjio showed the broken chain in his hand to the other party. Ao Tian could not help but be convinced. Moreover, he seemed to have sensed that he had a chance to escape. Start again? Obtain freedom. This is extremely precious and supreme freedom. Quick, there's one more. Ao Tian said quickly. Although Li Zongjio said that he had the strength, he was worried that Ao Tian might betray him. However, it did not matter. Even if Ao Tian had the strength to threaten him, if Ao Tian wanted his life, given Poison Dragon's strength, he could not do that. Sounds of fighting could be heard coming from the front yard. Shi Buyu seemed to be doing really well. He seemed to be restraining all the enemies. That was why he gave Li Zongjio so much time. Immediately, Li Zongjio attacked again and smashed the other chain. Bam! Ao Tian broke free from the chain. Immediately, he faced the sky and let out a long roar. At the same time, he quickly released his own power. The scales that had aged on his body fell off and were replaced by new scales that had just grown out. Even his claws were renewed. The newly grown claws were filled with threat and murderous intent. Li Zongjio held the matchless sword in his hand. He looked at Ao Tian. Ao Tian's aura seemed to have a slight breakthrough. Obviously, being trapped here for a period of time had restricted a lot of his energy. Now, it could be considered as a blowout. Even if Ao Tian was not willing to help him, as long as Ao Tian did not cause trouble, it would not be a problem. If Ao Tian insisted on helping the people of Poison Dragon Stronghold to fight against him, in that case, Li Zongjio could only retreat first. I'll do it again tomorrow. After Ao Tian displayed his powerful aura, he actually bowed down to Li Zongjio. It was a sign of submission. Do we dragons keep our word? You are my master now. Ao Tian said. He actually lowered his noble head to Li Zongjio. This caused Li Zongjio himself to be surprised, because he really did not expect that this guy would actually keep his promise to such an extent. It was indeed surprising. After all, in the current situation, the poison dragon could just fly away. It was normal for them to attack Li Zongjio. However, Ao Tian chose to keep his promise. This was something that Li Zongjio did not expect. This was indeed interesting. Li Zongjio wasn't polite at all. He leaped up and landed on Ao Tian's head. Ao Tian immediately let out a furious roar. Now that he had escaped, he was definitely going to slaughter everyone. Just at this moment, Hong Long flipped over and landed in the courtyard. It was obvious that he had mentally prepared himself during this period of time. Most importantly, he had been listening to the roaring sounds coming from the courtyard. He did not know what was going on. What's going on? When Hong Long jumped in, he immediately saw this shocking scene. Li Zongjio was actually stepping on the poison dragon's head. It was hard to stop halfway. It might not be easy to stop riding on a dragon. Hong Long had already come to this poison dragon stockade countless of times. He had even seen the appearance of this poison dragon a couple of times. It was an extremely ferocious and extremely poisonous poison dragon. At this moment, it was actually obediently being stepped on by Li Zongjio. Ao Tian saw someone rushing in and was about to attack. However, he was stopped by Li Zongjio. Brother Hong, you are here too. Brother Li, this is... Hong Long was about to escape because he thought that Li Zongjio was definitely going to die. However, after walking for a while, he thought that it was rare to meet an expert like Li Zongjio and thought that there might be a turning point. After all, Li Zongjio's strength was there for all to see. If you think that all the decisions made by those who were stronger than you were only made by fools, then that was basically the reason why you were weaker than others. Don't use your own realm to measure the decisions of those who were at a higher realm. Therefore, Hong Long wanted to take a gamble. When he came in and saw this scene, he reacted a little. It had only been a few minutes and the poison dragon had been defeated. Could it be that the two of them were old acquaintances? I just took in a little brother. How about this? I will go and kill them. You go and save the Shi family's daughter. Li Zongjio said. Before Hong Long could react, Zhang Xian's expression changed. The poison dragon immediately flapped its wings and flew. Its huge body soared into the sky and smashed some of the buildings in front of it. Bang! At the same time, the poison dragon opened its mouth and spat at anyone it saw. It spat out the venom one after another. Those who were poisoned to death by the poison dragon. They were all turned into soul beings under the power of the rules. And it was double. Obviously, after the poison dragon recognized him as its master, the number of people who were killed was all counted on Li Zongjio's head. He rushed to the front. Shi Buyu was already covered in injuries. However, there were many corpses lying on the ground. The few leaders of the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold brought their men and hid in the distance to watch. Why does this person look so fierce? Why don't we run away quickly? The first leader and second leader of the Poison Dragon Mountain stockade were also privately discussing whether they should find an opportunity to directly flee. No, there is still a dragon locked in the backyard. That person said that if we come back and the dragon is gone, we will die. You saw that person's strength too. The second leader was also very anxious. Then he loudly ordered his men to kill. Quick, shoot him to death. Roar! At this moment, Ao Tian's roar came. Instantly, the mountain stronghold trembled a few times. Ao Tian was not polite at all. He destroyed the houses he saw. When he saw people, he slapped them with his claws. If they were far away, he would spit out a mouthful of venom and poison them to death. With a fierce sweep of its tail, it destroyed all the pavilions and buildings in the surroundings. What? Why did that evil dragon come out? Who is it? Who let this evil dragon out? Isn't he trying to kill me? When the first leader saw the poison dragon appear, he was scared out of his wits. Brother Shi, let me help you. Li Zongjio laughed. Ao Tian landed on the empty ground. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of terrifying venom. Boom, boom, boom. The surrounding area was also being corroded by this powerful venom. Those who did not escape from the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold were all melted by the venom without exception. Turned into soul beings? They were kept by Li Zongjio. In just this short period of time, Li Zongjio had already collected close to 2,000 soul beings. However, the biggest gain was still the poison dragon. The poison dragon had the strength of a level 8 innate. In this situation, it was an extremely powerful help in battle. Shi Buyu looked at Li Zongjio in shock. He was looking at the mighty and majestic poison dragon. He did not like to talk. Now that he saw the poison dragon, he was so shocked that he was speechless. Although he didn't say anything, Li Zongjio had already seen his expression. Who is the leader? The surrounding members of the mountain stronghold did not dare to move. This was just a very ordinary mountain stronghold. The people walking around in front of them were only at the pre-celestial realm. The strength of the first master and second master had barely stepped into the Xiantian realm. Over there, that is our great leader. They all betrayed their great leader to Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio was able to see through their cultivation with a single glance. With their strength, how could they subdue the poison dragon in front of them? It was wishful thinking. Oh no, this is probably a trap. Li Zongjio's heart skipped a beat. Under normal circumstances, there was a so-called cause and effect. There would probably be more things to happen later. There would be more danger and people coming. This could be considered a trap. Li Zongjio did not care. Whatever came would come. Whatever came would be destroyed. How could you release this evil dragon? The great leader and second leader looked at Li Zongjio in shock. They could not believe their eyes. Li Zongjio did not waste any time. Everyone in the world had countless questions. Could it be that Li Zongjio wanted to answer all of these people's questions one by one before making a move? No way. Poison Dragon Aotion could not hold back any longer. He roared and flapped his wings to charge forward. His body also exploded with endless ferocious light. Bang! A poison bomb flew towards the Poison Dragon Stronghold's great leader and the others. Bang! All of them were killed. When the remaining people saw this, they did not dare to stay any longer. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. They fled into the distance. Li Zongjio did not kill them all. There was no need to. After this trip, he had earned 3,000 soul beans. After a while, Hong Long rushed out with a person. When he saw this person, Li Zongjio finally understood why this person did not have a name and was always called the Sher family's young Mississippi. Chapter 1605. It was indeed a little too much to say that she was the daughter of the Sher family. However, she was at least 100 kilograms. Although Li Zongjio wasn't from the Appearance Association and he wasn't here to talk about love. However, when he saw such a top-quality item, he was also a little surprised. Thank you, two young heroes, for your help. My family's young miss is safe. Let's go back now. Li Zongjio nodded. However, they didn't have any other means of transportation at the moment. Hence, he let everyone sit on the back of the poison dragon. Immediately, the poison dragon flapped its wings and moved. It brought the four of them and soared into the sky above the poison dragon mountain stronghold. Boom! Hong Long and the others sat on the poison dragon. However, they were rather shocked. They never thought that there would be a day where they could sit on the back of an upper sky realm giant dragon. Even when the poison dragon flew back to the Scarlet Soul main city, it caused quite a commotion. After all, the poison dragon's strength was incomparably violent. Its aura was extraordinary. No matter where an expert went, he would be respected and would be the center of attention. Li Zongjio also wanted to keep a low profile. However, after thinking about it, he decided not to. A mere poison dragon might not be able to keep such a high profile. After all, in the Scarlet Soul main city, one could similarly see other strong, fierce spirits. However, the owners of these fierce spirits were all ruthless people. Even if it was your fierce spirit, if it fought fiercely on the streets and destroyed things, it would be captured by the city lord manor and punished at the same time. Hence, this matter wasn't so easy to solve. If two fierce spirits happened to be natural enemies, it would be very difficult to stop each other from attacking. Aotion brought the four of them and landed in the Sher family's courtyard. The daughter of the Sher family also hugged Sher Wanjin and cried. The father and daughter were finally reunited and everyone was happy. Looking at the situation of this surprise, it was rather touching. Thank you, two heroes. This is the reward that I promised you before. Please accept it. 500 soul beans. This wasn't a small number. Just these soul beans would allow you to continue living for close to 2 years. It was also the first time Hong Long had received so many soul beans. All of a sudden, he was pleasantly surprised. In fact, he was quite excited. Thank you, Sher Clan head. Hong Long said. Li Zongjio glanced at Hong Long. If this Sher Clan head was just a puppet, then Hong Long was being too polite. Under normal circumstances, there was naturally no need to do so. Unless Hong Long was enjoying himself, or he had other reasons for doing so. Thank you, young masters, for saving me. I have nothing to repay you with. Just when Li Zongjio thought that the matter was over, he saw the young lady of the Sher family walking towards the two of them. Could it be that she wanted to marry him or something? Li Zongjio was shocked and took a step back. But Hong Long looked very calm. This item was accidentally obtained by my daughter in the village? Perhaps the two of you can use it. The young lady of the Sher family gave Li Zongjio and Hong Long a grain-like item. This item was so small that it couldn't be seen. In terms of weight, it wasn't enough. Even if it was useful, it definitely wouldn't be too useful. After all, there was too little of it. This is a token from the Sky Spirit Valley. Hong Long was also very shocked. Sky Spirit Valley? Li Zongjio looked at the latter. After all, he had just arrived. Hence, he didn't know much about these things. The Sky Spirit Valley is a sect. It is said that this sect is very strong. As for how strong it is, I don't know. But if you can join the Sky Spirit Valley, you will definitely be able to obtain a lot of cultivation resources. At least the soul beans that are given out every day are enough for cultivation. I heard that the Scarlet Soul City Master used to be a disciple of the Sky Spirit Valley. Later on, for some reason, he left the Sky Spirit Valley. After Li Zongjio heard this, he understood. It was the same trick again. It was probably another hidden powerful sect. Asking the great evil Lord Li Zongjio to walk the path of this sect again? This was really ridiculous. It is said that if you can become a core disciple of the Sky Spirit Valley, you will have the opportunity to learn the Great Curse technique. Just learn a curse, and you won't have to worry about anything for the rest of your life. Curse technique. Li Zongjio wanted to learn a powerful curse technique. In addition, he wanted to become stronger. With such an opportunity, it wasn't a bad idea. Hence, Li Zongjio now had a good choice. Usually, most people don't have such an opportunity. I didn't expect that after completing this task, I would get such a good opportunity. If I had known earlier, I would have risked my life to complete this task. Hong Long now understood why this task was so difficult. It turned out that the real reward was here. It wasn't written in the previous conditions at all. If it was, who knows how many people would sign up for it. Sky Spirit Valley. One of the rumored top 10 immortal sections. Just listening to it made one's body tremble. If one could join such a powerful sect, it must be a very good opportunity. Then how can we find this Sky Spirit Valley? Li Zongjio asked. It's still early. In 3 months, the Sky Spirit Valley will send people here. At that time, whoever has this Sky Spirit Valley will be qualified to enter the Sky Spirit Valley and accept the entrance test. Li Zongjio understood. It turned out that the thing in his hand was equivalent to an entrance ticket. Whether he could stay or not depended on his own ability. At least from the looks of it, there were still 3 months. In these 3 months, many things would happen. Li Zongjio also thought that he could do more tasks and earn more soul beans. In this way, he might be able to buy some things in the transaction shop that could increase his strength in advance so that he could return earlier. This place was indeed full of strong attraction. However, Li Zongjio was also clear about the reason why he came here. If Li Zongjio hadn't experienced the events of his previous life, perhaps he would be lost in this world. He wouldn't be willing to leave at all. However, the current Li Zongjio was mature, strong, and determined. He had tasted the feeling of losing a loved one before. This time, he definitely wouldn't let it happen again. Brother Li, where are you going? Wait for me. Hong Long caught up to Li Zongjio. After all, with such a strong expert like Li Zongjio around, he naturally couldn't give up so easily. Following such an expert, what was there to worry about? Li Zongjio allowed the latter to follow him. At this moment, in the Poison Dragon Mountain stronghold, a figure came. It was a man in a green robe. His eyes had a tinge of darkness. Chapter 1606. The green-robed man sized up the situation around him. The Poison Dragon village had obviously been destroyed by someone, and from the looks of it, it seemed to have been destroyed by the Poison Dragon. My Supreme God chain can only be broken by the Heaven Realm. With the strength of the Poison Dragon, it is impossible for it to break free by itself. Could it be that there is a Heaven Realm expert against me? The green-robed man had found a Poison Dragon with great difficulty. After he collected the other poisons, he would come back to take the Poison Dragon's gallbladder. With this, he could refine the strongest poison in the world. It was a truly unique poison. But who would have thought that after he collected the other items and wanted to look for this Poison Dragon, it actually disappeared? I just left not long ago. I want to see who dares to go against me, the green robe. No matter whose incarnation it is, I will refine you. Immediately, the green-robed man waved his hand. At the same time, he leaped. He headed towards the direction of the Crimson Soul City. Firstly, the Crimson Soul City was the nearest main city. Perhaps there would be some clues. In addition, he also had some things to do in the Crimson Soul City. Therefore, he headed towards the Crimson Soul City to investigate. If he could find some information, that would be even better. Li Zongjio returned to the inn. Hong Long also followed Li Zongjio to the inn. As for the Poison Dragon Ao Tian, It also turned into a tattoo and landed on Li Zongjiu's finger. "If you need to fight, just call me," Ao Tian said. He thought that this guy would land on his body. That was just a temporary place to stay. However, Hong Long directly told Li Zongjiu that this was a way to tame the beast. However, if this beast was attached to his body, it would consume a soul bean every day. If he was injured or when he was cultivating, he would need to become stronger. He would also directly absorb the soul beans on Li Zongjiu's body. "What, this guy? Why do I feel like I'm the one who's being tricked?" Yes. Li Zongjiu did not expect this. He had just found the method, and now he had to raise another one. It had not been easy for him to take in a dragon. Right now, he didn't get any benefits either. Instead, he had to give up so many soul beans. This made Li Zongjiu very unhappy. However, Li Zongjiu was also very clear in his heart that as long as this poison dragon was in his body, the effects it could exert would definitely be able to earn more for him. It was just this one mission. Li Zongjiu also added the final reward during the course of the mission. He had obtained a total of 3,500 soul beans. With these 3,500 soul beans, he would be able to obtain 3,500 soul beans. At the very least, Li Zongjiu only needed to cultivate in peace, and he would be able to sustain himself for almost 10 years. However, it was still very difficult to buy some things. Hong Long asked for a room next to Li Zongjiu. This inn could only be described as ordinary. Therefore, Hong Long could afford it. It was mainly because of this mission that Hong Long had obtained more than 500 soul beans. This was in the past. This mission had to be repeated 10 times before it could be successful. Li Zongjiu took advantage of the night to come to the trading hall. In any case, he had a huge sum of money in his hands. Li Zongjiu also wanted to see what good things could be bought. There were two places in the trading hall. One was a shop, and the other was the trading hall. The trading hall was a transaction between people. However, the shop was a transaction between people and the shop owner. The transaction with the shop owner was basically a marked price. Moreover, the shop did not display anything, but it would give you a menu. If you needed anything, you could just tell the shop owner directly. Is this the law created by the power of the Great Path? Li Zongjiu was very surprised. It had to be said that the mysterious Sky Emperor had the power of creation and the law. He was also very impressed. However, he did not look after the thing he had created. It turned out to be, this thing ran into Li Zongjiu's territory and caused trouble. Then Li Zongjiu could not tolerate it. If there was a need, even if it was the mysterious Sky Emperor, he had the confidence to defeat him. This was Li Zongjiu's thought. He had never been afraid of anyone. Li Zongjiu browsed through it. It was a thick book, as if it was a manual. Then Li Zongjiu looked at it. He roughly knew. It was all-inclusive. Almost everything that could be imagined could be obtained. Even Li Zongjiu saw the flying pill that he had refined before. The flying pill was only worth 3,000 soul beans. Li Zongjiu was completely stunned. Because according to this calculation, the flying pill was most likely a rank 11 pill. It could actually be purchased with a mere 3,000 soul beans. It seemed that the purchasing power of these soul beans was quite good. As for the flying pill's pill formula, if he bought it, it would cost 10,000 soul beans. Unfortunately, he already had the pill formula, but there was no way to sell it. If Li Zongjiu wanted to sell the flying pill's pill formula to the shop would not accept it. Of course, he could sell it privately. However, Li Zongjiu did not have that much time to interact with people. Moreover, it was a waste of time to set up a stall to sell it. Oh, today's discount, 100 calamity pill? Li Zongjiu noticed a sign at the side. There were some discounted items hanging on it. 100 calamity pill. Lava hound puppy beast spirit. 10,000 weak immortal grass. Demon locking rope. These were the 4 items that appeared today. Demon locking rope was a magic treasure. It should be able to increase its effectiveness when dealing with fierce beasts. However, such a demon locking rope cost 5,000 soul beans. Li Zongjiu shook his head and did not look. 10,000 weakness immortal grass. Weak at first, then strong. This was an immortal grass that could be consumed. After consuming it, one would experience 10,000 times of weakness, and then another 10,000 times of strength increase. With Li Zongjio's experience, this item would definitely be able to greatly increase its effectiveness and, most importantly, improve one's body effects. The original price was 9,000 soul beans. Now, it only needed 7,200 soul beans. He could not afford it. Although the item was good, not everyone could endure the 10,000 times of being in a weakened state. As for things like beast spirits, no matter how strong they were, they would need to be nurtured for a while before they could become stronger. Just the amount of consumption during this process was like a bottomless pit. Moreover, this beast spirit also needed 4,500 soul beans. He could not afford it. He did not look. Moreover, he already had a poison dragon. Therefore, Li Zongjio did not care about this item. The final 100 calamity pill. The original price was 5,000 soul beans. Now, it only needed 3,500 soul beans. Li Zongjio even suspected that this shop was specifically here to harvest his soul beans. 100 calamity pill. Experience 100 calamities, but the effects vary from person to person. The more calamities one experiences, the stronger the effects. Grade, level, 12. Chapter 1607. It just so happened that Li Zongjio had about the same amount of soul beans. The discount for the 100 tribulation pill was also very good. Therefore, Li Zongjio was just in time to exchange for the 100 tribulation pill. Then, Li Zongjio spent 3,500 soul beans to buy the 100 tribulation pill. One had to know that the flying pill was already worth 3,000 soul beans. Now, this was a level 12 pill, so its effects were naturally even better. Moreover, Li Zongjio really wanted to see the legendary level 12 tribulation pill. What level was a 12th grade medicinal pill? What kind of effect could it have? Although Li Zongjio was able to concoct the flying pill, it was only in terms of its effects. He himself had used many precious ingredients to concoct the flying pill. The transaction process was very simple. One hand for the money, and the other for the goods. The cold and expressionless shop assistant lowered his head and took a box. Then, he brought the 100 tribulation pill that Li Zongjio wanted. He only used his mental power to scan it. Li Zongjio knew that the pill in his hand was definitely not of a low grade. Therefore, he didn't inspect it and put it away. Because Li Zongjio had stayed for so long, he was already being watched. Right now, the other party probably couldn't tell what exactly was being traded. However, when Li Zongjio took the 100 tribulation pill in his hand, he saw the sign above his head that said, "Special offer." The line of words that said, "100 tribulation pill," actually dimmed. Damn, so direct? When Li Zongjio saw this scene, he was very surprised. Wasn't this clearly telling others that the item was in his hands? Clearly, the other party knew. Li Zongjio cursed inwardly. Then, he knew that he was most likely being watched. After leaving the trading store, Li Zongjio also felt that there were at least two groups of people following him. Obviously, they all wanted to get the 100 tribulations elixir from Li Zongjio's hands. Although Li Zongjio had easily obtained over 3,000 soul beans, it seemed as if obtaining soul beans was an extremely simple matter. However, this was not the case. Because Li Zongjio's luck was better, he was able to complete this mission with the assistance of the poison dragon. Of course, it was also because Li Zongjio's strength was also stronger than the average person. For example, Hong Long himself was an innate ranker. However, he did not have the opportunity to complete this rescue mission. It was all thanks to Li Zongjio that they were able to obtain the final 500 soul beans. If he had been alone, he would have only obtained the initial 50 soul beans at most after this fearful journey. If it wasn't for his rich experience, he would have been very likely. In that case, there was a very high possibility that he would lose his life because of these 50 soul beans. After all, launching a sneak attack midway was simply too damaging. He had never seen such a shameless person. He directly attacked and killed the person. No one could react in time. Li Zongjio didn't care. Li Zongjio had already investigated the other party's strength. They were only SOSO and couldn't pose much of a threat to him. Moreover, Li Zongjio had a level 8 innate poison dragon on him. If the other party wanted to attack, only death awaited them. They were still in the city, so they couldn't do anything even if they wanted to. Otherwise, these people would be the ones at a disadvantage. However, Li Zongjio realized that these people seemed to have some special methods. On the main street, two people walked towards him. They directly walked towards Li Zongjio, not avoiding him at all. Two people also approached from behind, blocking Li Zongjio's path. Li Zongjio was very surprised because when the other party walked towards him, they didn't avoid him at all. It was obvious that they wanted to attack him on the main street. Li Zongjio also stopped in his tracks and simply watched. He wanted to see how they would attack. As expected, the other party had come prepared. The four of them crushed a crystal ball in their hands at the same time. Immediately, a wave of ripple-like energy rapidly attacked. Li Zongjio saw that the other people didn't seem to notice the change. Immediately, the people around him seemed to walk further and further away. Although Li Zongjio was still on the main street, he was still there. Unknowingly, he had been brought to an independent space by the other party. As expected, there are policies from above and countermeasures from below. Li Zongjio also knew that it was impossible to be peaceful in the Crimson Soul City. For example, if he ran out of soul beans today, he would die tomorrow. Under such circumstances, who would care about so many rules? Naturally, they would rush out without hesitation and kill in all directions. And there would always be some hatred. It had to be settled in this city. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a happy thing. Let you live under the same roof with your father's murderer every day. Such a thing was obviously impossible. Moreover, since this great world was created by humans, then, no matter how perfect it was, there would still be loopholes to be found, and all kinds of opportunities would appear. What are you guys doing? Li Zongjio was very curious and asked if he didn't understand. There was nothing embarrassing about this, not to mention asking some people who were about to die. In that case, there was nothing to be embarrassed about. Therefore, Li Zongjio was very frank. As expected of a rookie, you don't even know about the mirror space. Looks like we've made a fortune this time. One of the two people walked over from behind with a hunched back. He seemed to be carrying a pot on his back. However, there were a few hilts at the edge. They should be carrying weapons on their backs. Mirror space. Li Zongjio was naturally unfamiliar with this term, indicating that he had never heard of it. It's just a little thing to avoid the rules. Don't worry, you won't encounter these things again in the future. Now, obediently hand over the 100 calamity pill you just bought and all the soul beans on you. The hunchback said. This person seemed to be the leader of the group. Li Zongjio said, there's only 100 calamity pill, but there are 4 of you. It doesn't seem easy to split it. And this? Discount goods, it doesn't seem to be able to be used for transactions. Li Zongjio said. What he said was true. When he bought it, the shop assistant said so. It couldn't be traded, but it could be given away. This point was very interesting. In other words, you could give the pill to me directly, and I wouldn't give you money. This kind of thing happened in this man-eat-man world. Who could guarantee that the other party would be willing to fulfill the promise without restrictions? Chapter 1608. Naive. Hearing Li Zongjio's words, the other party couldn't help but laugh at him. Obviously, Li Zongjio was a rookie among rookies. Although rookies often came to this great world, it was not uncommon to encounter rookies. However, it was really rare to meet someone as naive as Li Zongjio. She was definitely one of the best in the world. At least in his original world, this guy probably didn't know what the unspoken rules were. If he knew what the unspoken rules were, then he would be clear about the various rules in the macro world and would have a yardstick for himself to measure. In the macro world, everything has rules, but everything also has no rules. Remember this moment, maybe you can use it in your next life. The hunchbacked old man pulled out 2 long sabers from his back. After that, he slashed the sabers in front of him. Obviously, he was ready to attack. Immediately, the hunchbacked old man had already sentenced Li Zongjio to death in his heart, and he didn't want to delay any longer. Although there was no time limit in the mirror dimension space, it was easy to be discovered by the patrolling guards. If he was discovered, although it wouldn't be a violation of the rules, he wouldn't be able to achieve some of his goals. Wait a minute, I have another question. Li Zongjio raised his hand calmly. He seemed to know that he was going to die, so he didn't fight back. This kind of attitude could save a lot of trouble. If I kill someone here, won't the patrolling guards in the city find out? You don't have to worry about this. You can go on your way with peace of mind. The four of them attacked at the same time. They were like four wild leopards galloping violently. They quickly rushed in the direction of Li Zongjio. At the same time, the murderous intent in their hands was awe-inspiring. Waves of terrifying Yuan force were released, trying to trap Li Zongjio in the four corners. If this was the case, it was very clear. That was also very clear. If someone were to kill someone here, no one would know. Therefore, Li Zongjio also moved with a whoosh. The unparalleled sword appeared in his hand. Immediately, his sword technique was displayed. It was actually 1 against 4. He managed to block all of the attacks from the four opponents. This elegant sword technique was like pulling chestnuts out of the fire. Li Zongjio's swordsmanship seemed to be completely natural. When this move was simplified by the Great Tao, it was very clear. The move became simple, but its power had become even stronger. Clang, 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 clang. 4 fierce collisions, the 4 of them were sent flying at the same time. And their strength was not as strong as imagined. They were only innate level 2. Furthermore, he seemed to be around innate level 3. He was not Li Zongjio's opponent at all. He forced the 4 of them back with a single sword strike. Li Zongjio immediately stepped forward. Suddenly, his sword slashed towards the person in front. Boom! The sword soared. The face in that person's hand had a terrified expression. There was even a look of disbelief on their faces. By the time he could see it clearly, it was already a beam of sword light that flashed through his eyes. The sword, Shi's head fell to the ground. One of the 4 was easily killed by Li Zongjio. The other 3 did not react. When they reacted, Li Zongjio had already rushed towards the second person. Another sword slash was made. But the opponent's elemental energy defense was extremely strong. Therefore, when Li Zongjio's sword slashed at the defense, it was like slashing at an iron ball. However, although the person had a strong defense, he could not escape the fate of death. He saw this person's body in an instant. He was directly invaded by the power of ice, and his entire body was sealed in ice. His life force was frozen. What? Seeing this, the hunchback and the other person finally reacted. Li Zongjio's strength was far above theirs. Although Li Zongjio looked like an ordinary rookie. But if you think about it carefully, an ordinary rookie. How could he earn more than 3,000 soul beans in such a short time and use them to buy the 100 calamity elixir? This meant that this fellow had even more soul beans on him. But now, Li Zongjio's soul beans had nothing to do with the other 2. Even their own bodies disappeared with a bang. They turned into soul beans. One had 12. One had 13. One was a level 2 innate, and the other was a level 3 innate. In fact, no matter if it was level 3 or level 2, the difference was the same to Li Zongjio. He directly took care of them. He treated them equally. There was no difference at all. Li Zongjio did not stop. He tapped his foot. His figure also rushed toward the other party. Bang! At this moment, seeing Li Zongjio's fast movements, in the blink of an eye, he had rushed in front of them. It was impossible for him to escape now. Only by facing Li Zongjio head-on could they have a chance of survival. Otherwise, they would definitely be killed by Li Zongjio. But in reality, they were wrong. Even if they faced Li Zongjio head-on, they would not have any chance. Li Zongjio's sword technique was extremely fast. Furthermore, after the sword swept past, it would release a terrifying ice power that struck the opponent's body. Following that, the ice power entered the opponent's body. The entire body would be frozen. Freezing life force. Not to mention Li Zongjio. Even if Huo Wushuang could show his spirit body, he could kill the 4 people in front of him. If they had to blame someone, they could only blame these people for finding the wrong person. Bang bang. 2 figures turned into soul beans. Even before the hunchback died, the unwillingness and confusion in his eyes were clearly seen by Li Zongjio. But so what? The rules are the strong. Only the strong can control the rules. Li Zongjio said indifferently. The strong could follow the rules, but they could also break the rules. It was such a simple truth, but these people did not understand it. They deliberately pretended in front of Li Zongjio, and even wanted to guide Li Zongjio. Although it was possible that these people's lives were longer than normal. But in Li Zongjio's eyes, everyone's experience was similar. In fact, Li Zongjio's experience would be even richer. The brilliance of his life would be so great that it would not be able to be written down in a book. Because Li Zongjio's life was not over yet. As for the so-called mirror dimension, Li Zongjio had already started to analyze it. He found that it was just a temporary space. Since it was in the space, there must be a door. As long as he found the door, he could get out. Before he broke it through violence. It was the same as looking for the eye of the array. Soon, Li Zongjio found the door. He counted the soul beans in these people's hands. Even with the 4 of them added together, they had only received 720 pills. Among them, there were 50 that came from these people's own bodies. A bunch of poor people, no wonder they came out to rob. Li Zongjio could not help but ridicule. With such strength, they still dared to mess around in the Scarlet Soul City? But now Li Zongjio could see it. These people's strength was average and they liked to do these things. They were not good at anything else, but they were good at robbing. Those who were slightly stronger would rob in the city, but those who were weaker would rob in the wild. After all, if there were any problems in the wild, they would not be caught by the city guards, nor would they be punished. They were all divided into levels. Then, Li Zongjio opened the door. He walked out. The street was still the same as before, as if Li Zongjio had never left, and the people around him did not notice Li Zongjio. Of course, the people who were staring at Li Zongjio were also staring at him normally. When they saw Li Zongjio walk out unscathed, they were also very surprised. Some of the people who wanted to make a move were still regretting it. Actually, someone had beaten them to it. But now, Li Zongjio was alone. Safe and sound? He walked out of the mirror space. This meant that the other 4 people were also dead. Li Zongjio casually made a grabbing motion in the air. Then he took out the 4 pearls. The so-called mirror space was born from the 4 pearls in his hand. So it's a spatial array of spatial power. Li Zongjio observed the pearls in his hand. The mirror space pearl in his hand was quite exquisite. He did not know how much it was in the market. But thinking about it, it shouldn't be too expensive. At most, it was about 100 soul beans. This thing was not complicated, and after research, it could be mass-produced. But there were differences in the realm of the pearls. The higher the level, the bigger the space. As long as the space was not broken, this thing could be used forever. It was a good thing to kill and rob in the city. With this thing, he only needed to be a little careful when moving in the city. Li Zongjio looked behind him in the direction of the people who were following him. They also waited in place for a while. They wanted to see what treasures these people had. But they seemed to be afraid, so they did not dare to go forward. And then Li Zongjio? After mocking him, he left directly. These people also knew that Li Zongjio had discovered them, and they were a little surprised. Obviously, they did not expect Li Zongjio to be able to discover them. It seemed that this guy was not simple. After hesitating for a while, they finally chose to give up and did not dare to follow him. They did not want to follow in the footsteps of the 4 people. Li Zongjio returned to the inn safe and sound. As expected, no city guards came to find trouble with him. After all, in the mirror space, nothing was broken and no corpses were left. It was indeed difficult to trace the origin of this thing. As long as he was in here, he would be able to do anything. Unless there was a witness. Unfortunately, Li Zongjio had already killed all 4 of them. In the inn, Li Zongjio and the poison dragon ordered. He did not allow anyone to disturb him. He wanted to refine the 100 Calamity Elixir. Chapter 1609. 100 Tribulations Elixir. Li Zongjio took out the elixir in his hand and observed it carefully. From its appearance, he could see some clues. However, he soon discovered that there was an extraordinary power on the object. To prevent spying? How can it be so delicate? Li Zongjio was also very surprised. It seemed that the protection of these things could be said to be very powerful. Li Zongjio did not study it further. He would take it himself. He swallowed the 100 Tribulations elixir directly. At first, there was no reaction. Li Zongjio thought that he had bought a fake elixir. But soon the elixir worked. The elixir did not have any effect on Li Zongjio's body. Soon could be seen. The surrounding environment had begun to change. After that, Li Zongjio himself also understood. He was brought into an illusion by the elixir. In this kind of invisible situation, people would be brought into the illusion. This showed the power of the elixir. Li Zongjio himself was also very shocked. Because of him? With the evil soul at least when facing the illusion, he could maintain a certain level of sanity and consciousness. At least the effect of resistance was still there. Who would have thought that the 100 Tribulations pill would bring him into such an illusory world in just a few seconds? What a strong effect, I can't even detect it. Although Li Zongjio's consciousness was still clear. He knew that he was in the room of the inn, but in fact he had been brought to the wilderness. He was sitting on the mountain peak. Around him were ravines of the wilderness. The long yellow dragons stretched endlessly. Li Zongjio looked up at the sky. 100 Tribulations elixir, as the name suggests, is to go through 100 tribulations, and this tribulation, very coincidentally, is the thunder tribulation in front of me. Li Zongjio roughly understood in his heart. If he wanted to resist the thunder tribulation in front of him, then it would be considered as crossing the tribulation. Only by resisting the thunder tribulation could he bring enough benefits and effects. Boom! Lei Yun didn't have the slightest intention of waiting. With a furious roar, he charged forward with a ferocious thunderbolt. Boom! A bolt of lightning struck Li Zongjio. Soon, Li Zongjio's body absorbed the power of the lightning. This was because he had also cultivated the ancient golden tyrant body art. Therefore, Li Zongjio's body could be considered very strong. Furthermore, he had once used the evil dragon's eye. After being crushed countless times, his willpower had become ridiculously strong. Therefore, if he could hold on, Li Zongjio would have more opportunities. However, just the first stage of the lightning tribulation had actually sent down 9 bolts of lightning to temper it. This was a terrifying number. If that was the case, wouldn't it mean that the 100th wave of the tribulation would be over 10,000 lightning strikes at the same time? Li Zongjio calmly cultivated under the endless bombardment of lightning. Suddenly, a set of cultivation techniques appeared in Li Zongjio's mind. Heavenly Void Divine Form Record. Li Zongjio suddenly woke up. This set of Heavenly Void Divine Form Records was the cultivation method that Li Zongjio had cultivated in his previous life. Later on, he discovered that this Heavenly Void Divine Form Records could only be cultivated up to the peak of the Supreme Being realm. Later on, it was naturally abandoned by Li Zongjio. This was because he had obtained the cultivation techniques of the 4 dragon tribes. However, just now, this Heavenly Void Divine Form Record actually started cultivating on its own. This made Li Zongjio extremely shocked. This cultivation technique. When Li Zongjio reread the cultivation technique of the Heavenly Void Divine Form Record with his current cultivation level. However, he realized that he had made a huge mistake in the past. There was no way for him to cultivate this Heavenly Void Divine Form Record correctly. His previous cultivation methods were all wrong. He could only learn and understand it with his current strength. Only then could he find the real correct method. Immediately, Li Zongjio himself was extremely surprised and shocked. It turns out that I have been wasting a real treasure all this time. After Li Zongjio recomprehended this Heavenly Void Divine Form Record, he was also more aware of the powerful force recorded in this Heavenly Void Divine Form Record. It was definitely not something that ordinary cultivation techniques could compare to. The first level. This Heavenly Void Divine Form Record can only be cultivated to the first level in the Khanate realm. The real first level. Li Zongjio was extremely shocked. This meant that what Li Zongjio had cultivated in the past was only the tip of the iceberg. He had thought that with his cultivation level, he was already? He was very familiar with this heavenly void divine form record. Now, it seemed that this was the real waste. Only when one stepped into the Khanate realm could one truly feel the powerful force within. Boom. Li Zhongjio's body immediately felt a powerful surge of energy entering his body. When he activated the heavenly void divine form record, he had already memorized the contents of the mental cultivation method. As long as he continued to cultivate, he would be able to feel the different state within it. In fact, the 19th cloud of tribulation lightning had already appeared in the sky. The power within was also continuously being absorbed and devoured by Li Zhongjio. He was actually directly absorbing the power of the tribulation cloud. At the same time, Li Zhongjio's cultivation level was also increasing rapidly. It was extremely powerful and terrifying. Li Zhongjio could already feel that his power was increasing rapidly. This was undoubtedly a timely help for Li Zhongjio. After all, Li Zhongjio himself had the omnidirectional hell technique. In Li Zhongjio's opinion, this kind of power was completely uncultivated. It was not even perfect in the establishment of the power system. Anyone below the Khanate realm could cultivate it casually, and it could bring about powerful effects. But in the face of a Khanate realm expert, this kind of power could only be casually looked at. It would not be able to withstand a single blow. It could easily break the hell you created. Therefore, Li Zhongjio also understood this point and did not reveal this in battle. Otherwise, the only one who would be severely injured would be himself. Now that he had obtained the heavenly void divine form record, he picked it up and cultivated it again. This was also a very surprising and unexpected thing for Li Zhongjio. His power kept increasing. Let me see how far your heavenly void divine form record can go. Li Zhongjio was also very surprised and excited. If he could cultivate this heavenly void divine form record to the extreme, he could cultivate it again. What kind of effect would he get? It was simply unimaginable. This was because Li Zhongjio had completely stabilized at the innate stage with just the first level. Even his own primordial energy was stabilized. Previously, Li Zhongjio had the power of will and reached the Khanate level 7. But his primordial energy was still at the absolute saint realm. Therefore, when these people from the great world saw him, they would think that Li Zhongjio's cultivation was only at the absolute saint realm. But they did not expect Li Zhongjio to be such a strong person, with such a cultivation. But now, Li Zhongjio's cultivation had directly increased. And it was unstoppable. He directly broke through to the Khanate realm. This made Li Zhongjio extremely surprised. To Li Zhongjio, cultivating this heavenly void divine form record again was also a very unexpected and surprising gain. But it was also his fault that his cultivation was not enough before. So there was no way for him to understand the essence of it. But it was different now. Not only that, Li Zhongjio also needed to abandon all the previous cultivation experience of this heavenly void divine form record. Otherwise, it would also affect his cultivation. Immediately, Li Zhongjio also cultivated very seriously. After all, the thunder tribulation in the sky had not ended. The thunder tribulation continued to brew. It kept crashing down. It directly bombarded Li Zhongjio's body. The number of thunder tribulations increased and became stronger. But fortunately, Li Zhongjio's heavenly void divine form record also increased Li Zhongjio's own strength to the extreme. It allowed Li Zhongjio to withstand the impact of the thunder tribulation one after another. He was also in a safe and sound state. He continued to absorb the energy within it. Li Zhongjio's strength and realm kept increasing and absorbing. It seemed that because he had been stagnant for too long, his own strength was also rapidly increasing and replenishing his realm. How many thunder tribulations have there been? Li Zhongjio already had no idea how many thunder tribulation clouds there were. Just the power that was constantly released in the sky had already made Li Zhongjio completely numb. He even lost the ability to calculate. He only knew to accumulate and absorb the power bit by bit. In this way, he could ensure that he would not be defeated by the thunder tribulation. Refine. 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 Give me one. Refine one. A mere 100 tribulations elixir gave Li Zongjio an experience that even surpassed the feeling of cultivation in the past few years. It allowed Li Zongjio to constantly accumulate power and accumulate his own strength in this cultivation. It was extremely terrifying. The effect of the elixir was very strong. Just looking at it was enough to shock anyone. It was completely unbelievable that the existence of such power could be so powerful. He did not know how long he had spent in this space. When Li Zongjio opened his eyes again, in the sky, it had already begun to brew a purple thunderbolt. Purple heaven, heavenly thunder. Li Zongjio had seen this kind of thunderbolt power before, but compared the thunderbolt power that he had seen before with this one in front of him. It was like a teacup between this sea and a small stream. Just the gap between them was not something that ordinary people could make up for or imagine. This kind of power was so strong. Li Zongjio was also quite shocked. If I remember correctly, this should be the 99th thunderbolt. Li Zongjio thought in his heart. When he saw this thunderbolt, he began to understand in his heart. Obviously, the 99th thunderbolt was to catch this incomparably powerful purple heaven, heavenly thunder. Li Zongjio was also extremely shocked in his heart. He was also quite shocked. Come on. The purple heaven, heavenly thunder would not wait for Li Zongjio to prepare before it came. Directly, there was a boom. Even the entire sky was stirred by this power, and it became extremely loud. The power of the purple heaven, heavenly thunder instantly penetrated Li Zongjio's body. Finally, Li Zongjio had a feeling that his soul and body were destroyed. It was as if the power that he had cultivated all his life was shattered at this moment. Chapter 16:10. So powerful! Li Zongjio exclaimed in his heart. He could not even resist the appearance of this power. In Li Zongjio's heart, it was as if he had been devoured by this power. He fell into the endless darkness. Obviously, this purple heavenly thunder was not something that Li Zongjio could resist. He was no match for it at all. Even when Li Zongjio activated the heavenly void divine image in his body to the extreme, there was no effect at all. In the end, Li Zongjio was struck out of the illusion. Li Zongjio, who had just woken up, was drenched in cold sweat. Immediately, Li Zongjio's eyes flashed with a cold light. What a powerful power! Li Zongjio opened his eyes. He was still sitting in the same place and had not left. The feeling that the power just now brought to Li Zongjio was too deep. Even Li Zongjio himself could not imagine it. Just what kind of level had the power within reached? If I want to resist this purple heavenly thunder, I need to be at least in the celestial realm. Li Zongjio estimated in his heart. This power was too powerful. It was impossible for the current Li Zongjio to resist it. Fortunately, this was only in the illusion created by the elixir. Therefore, Li Zongjio could recover quickly. He tried to activate his heavenly void divine image. He realized that the heavenly void god form record was circulating much faster than before. With the infusion of this power, Li Zongjio's body directly woke up. Although it was an illusion just now, in reality, the effect is still on me. Li Zongjio heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the effect of this elixir was very magical. If he wanted to refine a 12th grade elixir, he had to at least know how to control space and create space. In Li Zongjio's heart, he was also very surprised and surprised. After all, it was extremely unexpected for this to happen to him. Li Zongjio glanced at the burning sandalwood on the table. This was ignited by Li Zongjio in order to calculate the time. It would be exactly 5 days after the sandalwood finished burning. Li Zongjio thought that he had been in the illusion for at least 7 days and 7 nights. After all, he was in the illusion, so he had a feeling that it was an illusion. Therefore, Li Zongjio himself could feel it. Time should have passed a long time. However, when Li Zongjio saw the burning ashes under the sandalwood, he was shocked. Li Zongjio immediately. How is this possible? Li Zongjio stood up abruptly, his eyes filled with disbelief. He did not dare to imagine it at all. It's only been an hour? Li Zongjio's face changed drastically. How did he do it? Li Zongjio believed in his own strength. In the illusion, people would have an illusion of time. But Li Zongjio was confident that his feeling would not be wrong. Who knew that this force would emerge in front of him? For Li Zongjio, such a change in power was completely unbelievable. The change in time was even more shocking. The shock in his eyes was not hidden at all. Li Zongjio even pinched his fingers to calculate. And he also summoned Aotion. How long have I been in closed-door cultivation? Li Zongjio asked. How long? About an hour. I haven't even woken up. How did you come out of closed-door cultivation? Aotion himself was also very surprised. When he looked at Li Zongjio, his face was also full of suspicion. Could it be that there was something wrong with this guy? Amazing! Li Zongjio took a breath of cold air. Li Zongjio believed. This was not because his feeling was wrong, but because someone had changed the rules of time. To put it simply, you clearly took 7 days to refine this elixir. But someone directly changed the rules of time. You clearly experienced 7 days, but in fact, you experienced only an hour. In just an hour, it was directly completed. Therefore, when he understood this point, that was why Li Zongjio was so shocked. How shocked was his heart? It's really amazing. But at least, it let me know that there is a realm above the realm. Li Zongjio was also clear in his heart. And he was not afraid. Instead, he was extremely surprised in his heart. The occurrence of this kind of thing was expected. Many people's cultivation realm could not be too high, because they simply could not imagine how strong a person could be. This was a very important point. Your way of thinking limits your achievements. Before he felt that the other party had changed the rules of time, Li Zongjio was also very confident, because he could know how strong the strong could be. But after witnessing the other party change the rules of time, Li Zongjio also completely knew how terrifying the other party's strength was. It was not something that ordinary people could compare with at all. It seems that the celestial realm is always more powerful than imagined. Li Zongjio could at least understand in his heart. He understood his own strength and position. It was here. He needed to know the gap between his realms. It was also very important to be able to correctly recognize one's own shortcomings. Many people thought that they knew. But in fact, what they knew was far from enough. The gap between their realms? It was here. So you could never recognize your own shortcomings. Just when Li Zongjio wanted to see the changes in his strength, there was a knock on the door. Brother Li, it's me. Hong Long shouted from outside the house. Although he did not know what Hong Long wanted to do. But at this moment, he also knew that the other party knew all kinds of rules and tricks. With Hong Long's guidance, at least he could be more familiar with the big world in front of him under more circumstances. Li Zongjio had gradually become interested in such a world. The various rules here. They were simply specially made for cultivators. It's all for the sake of allowing you to continuously cultivate and become stronger. There were even people who specially refined the soul beans in their hands. Using this method to improve their strength was also the most direct and effective. However, it was not as effective as some other elixirs or other methods. The effect was faster, but at least it could guarantee your strength. Your strength could be improved continuously and reach an extremely powerful realm. Li Zongjio opened the door. Hong Long walked in with a face full of excitement. Look, I found something good for us. Usually, we can't pick up such a bargain. Hong Long swaggered into the room. Then, he opened a scroll and spread it on the table. He showed it to Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio also saw the scroll on the table. Mission announcement. Demon mission. A group of demons has appeared in the south of Crimson Soul City, more than 600 miles. Slaying fiendish demons would earn them generous rewards. Signature, Crimson Soul City. Li Zongjio's eyes also had a hint of surprise. After that, the appearance of this mission also surprised people. After all, the one who issued this mission was actually the City Lord's mansion. This surprised Li Zongjio. Why didn't the Crimson Soul City Lord personally mobilize the power of this city to kill these demons and demons? Wouldn't that be enough? Instead, he wanted to issue this mission. Let the rest of the people go and complete it. But soon, Li Zongjio also thought of it. This was a kind of rule. Even Crimson Soul himself had to abide by it. This was how the game was played. Hong Long and Li Zongjio explained. This demon group doesn't appear often. We can't find where they usually hide. They only appear themselves. In the beginning, they will move around in a fixed place. Once they are familiar, they will start to destroy and attack. It's quite troublesome. So when the main city discovers a demon group, they will also issue this kind of mission. Kill a postnatal demon and you will directly obtain 10 soul beans. Kill a postnatal demon and you will directly obtain 20 soul beans, regardless of rank. More importantly, these fiendish demons might bring out some treasures from the underground palace. If you can find the underground palace treasures on the demons, you will be really rich. Even if you put it here and on the black market, you can sell it for at least 100 soul beans. Not only that, the City Lord's mansion will also rank you according to the number of demons killed, and then distribute a certain amount of rewards. It had to be said that it did sound like a very attractive mission. At least Li Zongjio also understood. Treasures could be found on the bodies of these demons. A notice, at most 5 people can sign it. I have already put my fingerprints on it. Do you want to take a look? Hong Long gestured to the fingerprint area below the notice. Hong Long had already put his fingerprints on it, and it could be considered as signing a contract. The use of this notice was to help you record the number of demons you killed. Everything seemed ridiculous, but with this kind of power, it was very reasonable. It didn't make people feel the slightest bit of shock or surprise. Then I'll give it a try. Li Zongjio directly pressed his fingerprints on the fingerprint area. Immediately, he saw his fingerprints appear on the contract. At the same time, this notice also directly used a force to enter Li Zongjio's consciousness. However, Li Zongjio could also see that this thing was only temporarily bound. It wasn't a lifelong binding force. Immediately, Li Zongjio himself was also very surprised. Let's go. The demon's activity time is very short. They usually appear at night, and we can't find them during the day. Hong Long seemed to be a little impatient. After all, it was not too close to the south 600 miles. In addition, there would be many competitors, so they needed to arrive as soon as possible. Only then could they have a chance to complete the mission. Li Zong and Hong Long rented 2 wind-chasing horses from the post station. The wind-chasing horses were very fast. They could travel 3,000 miles in a day. Under the suppression of the rules in the big world, many people's power had been limited. It was very difficult to carry out a certain degree of resistance. Only after reaching the celestial realm could you fly freely. Otherwise, you only needed to fly a little distance or time, and you would fall into a very tired state. As for the poison dragon, it shouldn't be too conspicuous. He also needed to keep a low profile when dealing with things. At the same time, Li Zongjio also knew that the group of people in the poison dragon village had no way to trap the poison dragon. So it was someone else who trapped the poison dragon. With the strength of this person, Li Zongjio didn't want to go head-to-head with him now. Chapter 1611. The wind-chasing horse quickly advanced on the wasteland. It was extremely fast. A cloud of dust rose behind him. The Tianwu ship was considered a top-flying ship in the sacred martial realm. However, Li Zongjio had already tried. The Tianwu ship couldn't fly in such an environment. If he bought a flying ship in the main city, he would need thousands of soul beans. Moreover, just the usual maintenance and consumption alone was a very large number and expenditure. Li Zongjio didn't have many soul beans to begin with. He only had about 500 left. There was also this poison dragon that always came to eat his soul beans. Therefore, he couldn't find the time to increase the consumption of another flying ship. He spurred the horse forward. 600 miles away, it just so happened that there was an extremely dense forest. Just as the two of them were about to charge into the forest, suddenly, the wind-chasing horse they were sitting on also fell. It seemed to have flipped and rolled on the ground. Bang! Li Zongjio also stepped on the ground and his body rose into the air. Hong Long's reaction wasn't weak. He was also in a state of alert. In such a crowded place, especially in the wilderness and doing something related to a mission, he would always be at risk. They could also encounter danger at any time and place, so they could not let their guard down and let down their guard. Li Zongjiu's body rose into the air. He felt the sound of two people breaking through the air and heard a whistling sound. Then, they suddenly rushed in front of him. Boom! The air-piercing arrow Qi attacked. Li Zongjiu directly used the unparalleled sword to break it. Although the arrow was fast, Li Zongjiu's sword was faster. And more accurate. Swoosh swoosh. The two swords easily broke the arrow in front of him. Go! At the same time, Li Zongjiu directly slashed into the forest with his sword. Instantly, the sword Qi violently swept out. The sword Qi cut through the trees in the forest. Boom boom boom. As the sword Qi swept out, the other party also leaped up at this moment. A total of 3 figures rushed out. The other party's figure landed on the ground. Hong Long also held a long blade in his hand. He held his saber in a straight line. Saber Qi crisscrossed. He entered a defensive state. He stared at the people in front of him in a state of alert. His heart was also quite nervous. However, they saw Li Zongjiu rush into the formation of the 3 without hesitation. It was obvious that Li Zongjiu was very confident. In his opinion, it would be a piece of cake to kill these people. The sword Qi pierced through the formation of the 3. One of them wielded a spear, one wielded a dagger, and one wielded a crossbow. Evidently, the 3 of them did not expect Li Zongjiu to charge at them without any hesitation. For a moment, he was at a loss of what to do. Li Zongjiu also greeted him cordially. The sword momentum was unparalleled. This person's swordsmanship is too powerful. We can't fight him head-on. Retreat. The person brandishing the spear also brandished the spear in his hand, forming an airtight defensive circle. However, this defense was unable to withstand Li Zongjiu's sword Qi. Even after this guy had just finished his words. Yet, a beam of sword Qi had already slashed down and broken the long spear in his hand. Clang. The spear was cut off. The other party's face was instantly filled with shock. He was shocked. At this moment, he also understood that he was finished. Li Zongjiu did not hesitate to kill him with a single slash. Hong Long himself was not idle. When he saw Li Zongjiu gaining the upper hand and that his cultivation was similar to his, this guy who had been lazing around for thousands of years finally took the initiative. After all, if he wanted to follow Li Zongjiu, he must show a certain strength and attitude. Otherwise, it would not take long for Li Zongjiu to leave him in the dust. Since there was such a big tree, of course, he had to rely on it well. Hong Long faced the expert who wielded the crossbow. The other party was also caught off guard by Hong Long's attack. In addition, one of his companions was directly killed. For a moment he actually panicked. In his panic, he even had a feeling of wanting to escape. Once fear arose in his heart. Then the fatal moment arrived. Li Zongjiu once again killed the person who wielded the short sword in front of him. Bang! The expert who wielded the crossbow was beaten back by Hong Long. Seeing Li Zongjiu kill both of them, the expert who wielded the crossbow was obviously panicking. Good boy, what a ruthless sword. If you kill me, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance will not let you off. The crossbow man saw Li Zongjiu looking at him. His heart skipped a beat. Therefore, he hurriedly released his final trump card. Heavenly Fiend Alliance? When Hong Long heard about the Heavenly Fiend Alliance, his expression changed. However, Li Zongjiu did not hesitate at all. When the other party opened his mouth to speak, he had already killed him with a sword. Bang! He turned into soul beans. Li Zongjiu stretched out his hand and waved it. Then he collected all the soul beans. These people were all killed by Li Zongjiu. Therefore, Li Zongjiu collected all the soul beans. Hong Long seemed to be stunned by the other party's words. For a moment, he was stunned on the spot and did not know what to do. One should know that the other party's strength was average. However, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance was not easy to deal with. What did he just say? Li Zongjiu asked. They were all in a life-and-death battle. Who would care about what you said? Anyway, Li Zongjiu would not care. You can say whatever you want. As long as you can't defeat me, I will kill you first. Heavenly Fiend Alliance, this is bad. I did not expect these people to be members of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. Hong Long said in shock. Even his eyes were filled with fear. So was Li Zongjio? It was very surprising. It seemed that the Heavenly Fiend Alliance was not simple. They seemed to be very powerful. They had killed many people and made a name for themselves. That was why people were so respectful and fearful of them. The Heavenly Fiend Alliance is one of the 3 big forces in the Red Soul City. It is said that their leader is also a top expert in the Sky Realm. Most importantly, this person was once the adjutant of the Red Soul City Master. Honglong said. In fact, he could already understand what he was trying to say. It was obvious that the other party's strength was here. If they offended the Heavenly Fiend Alliance, it was equivalent to offending the Red Soul City Master himself. Just based on this relationship, anyone would have to give face here. As for the existence of this alliance, what was it for? That was not clear for now. But there must be a reason for its existence. Who would have thought that under such circumstances, they would still encounter such a thorny problem? Li Zongjio did not care. So what if it is powerful? What is there to be afraid of? Li Zongjio said in disdain. Anyway, no one saw him do it. The only person who saw him do it was Honglong in front of him. Could it be that just because you have a strong background, if you kill me, I can't kill you? The people here all had today and no tomorrow. It was hard to say what would happen in the end. So there was no need to be afraid of others. If he killed them, then so be it. It's not the same. The Heavenly Fiend Alliance is a legally registered gang. If a member of the gang dies, there will be a mark of hostility. That means that you will appear on their hostile list. Just on this point, that meant that if they met, they would immediately know. You had done something to offend their gang. So as long as they met people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance, they would basically fight with each other directly. In the end, the accumulated hatred would also become higher and stronger. At that time, the experts of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance would come looking for you. No matter what, you can't escape. Unless you hide all the time. As long as the other party's people don't get close to you, they won't know what you have done. This was the most important thing. Li Zongjio himself was also very surprised that there was such a thing. It was indeed very powerful. Then just don't go near them. Li Zongjio said. As long as you don't come into contact with them, it wouldn't be too troublesome. Usually you can, but it will be very obvious. The people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance are already nearby. Obviously, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance wanted to control the resources of the demons this time. This was also the reason why Honglong was so anxious to come here. If it was any later, who knew what would happen? But he didn't expect it to be too late this time. That's not right. Usually, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance wouldn't be interested in the gathering of small demons. But this time they are here. This means that there is definitely something wrong. Maybe there is a treasure, Honglong said. Li Zongjio glanced at Honglong, who was in deep thought. He waved his hand. So be it. Anyone who stands in my way will have to die. Li Zongjio said. Just because you are stronger, you want me to give you all the benefits? Li Zongjio naturally wouldn't agree to such a thing. If he had the ability, he would fight him head-on. Of course, if he really couldn't defeat the other party, it was not impossible for him to hide. But to be honest, he, the great evil lord, had never been afraid of anyone. Even if there were enemies, he would kill them easily. Even if he couldn't kill them now, he would definitely kill them in the future. It was just a matter of time. I admire Brother Li's domineering attitude. Honglong saw how determined Li Zongjio was and immediately smiled. He was very impressed with Li Zongjio's attitude. Therefore, they were determined to stay by Li Zongjio's side. He wanted to see how far Li Zongjio could go. Back then, he chose to follow Li Zongjio because of Li Zongjio's bravery and fearlessness. After all, if something really went wrong, if something unfavorable happened to him, he would definitely turn around and run away without hesitation. On this point, they were very certain. With Honglong's attitude, he would never risk his life unless there was a chance to gain something. Although he didn't kill the 3 people, he would still be regarded as an enemy of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. It was just that the hatred wouldn't be too high. It would still be dangerous. If he encountered it, he could only admit that he was unlucky. Everyone would be in a critical situation sometimes. Then the two of them continued to move forward into the forest, looking for the so-called demon group. There is a very strong aura in front. Li Zongjio sensed an extremely strong presence. Immediately, he quickly rushed forward. The reason why he brought Hong Long along was that Hong Long's strength didn't pose much of a threat to Li Zongjio. Secondly, Hong Long was able to give a good explanation of the rules in this great realm. At the very least, he could save Li Zongjio a lot of trouble. Chapter 1612. Li Zongjio's interest was piqued by the demonic aura fluctuation in front of him. Hong Long did not expect to encounter a demon so soon. The so-called demon. It was a creature that resembled both a demon and a demon. It had a murderous aura all over its body and would kill anyone it saw. It was as though it could not coexist with anyone. Once it went berserk, its destructive power and threat would be quite great. Moreover, if a large number of demons appeared, they would directly destroy the rules and order of this great world. The order that they had painstakingly established could not withstand the attacks of these fiendish demons. Therefore, as soon as there were traces of fiendish demons, they would eliminate them in the shortest time possible. Li Zongjio gradually understood. The existence of these demons happened to be looking for loopholes in this world and was constantly bringing destruction to this world. It was as though where there was light, there would be darkness. Although the great emperor of Shen was very powerful. However, after creating so many positive things, there were bound to be some negative things that were difficult to control. It was also the result of the karma cycle of the heavenly Tao. Where there was yin, there would be yang. Therefore, the great emperor of Shen could not stop these demons. After these demons appeared, he even ordered the people in this macro world to deal with them. Li Zongjio was the first to arrive. He saw a figure standing in the forest in front of him. This figure was tall and big. It looked vaguely like a human figure. However, it could be seen from its body. There were also some extremely strange things growing on the surface of its body. It had edges and corners. His appearance was similar to that of the fallen race. It was said that the uglier the demon, the more powerful it was. This fiendish demon seemed to have just appeared, so it stood in place, seemingly at a loss of what to do. Suddenly, Li Zongjio's scent entered its nose. Immediately, a ray of light shot out from the demon's eyes. Its sharp eyes immediately looked in the direction of Li Zongjio. Hiss! The demon's head looked like a huge snake. Then, the huge snake's eyes opened instantly and its tongue flicked out. His scarlet eyes instantly erupted. Immediately, he dashed toward Li Zongjio in an instant. Boom! The latter's speed was extremely fast, and his movements were also extremely loud. It was as if there was a wave of air being released. It was deliberately telling others that he was here and they had to come and catch him. While Li Zongjio was still in shock, his opponent's fist was already in front of him. Li Zongjio immediately punched out with all his might. He was going to clash head-on with his opponent. At the very least, he had to know the approximate level of the other party's strength. If he didn't know anything, it would be very troublesome. Immediately, the fist met the opponent's face. Bang! Li Zongjio and the fiendish demon each took a step back. Li Zongjio glanced at his fist. There was actually a crack in it. There was actually a bone spike in his opponent's fist. Just now, it was this bone spike that directly punched Li Zongjio's hand bone. However, the crack in Li Zongjio's hand quickly recovered. After all, the effect of the 100 Calamity Elixir and the operation of the Heavenly Void Divine Form. It directly made one's body extremely powerful. Although his body was injured, it recovered quickly. Li Zongjio was also very surprised by his body's recovery ability. Different degrees of injuries would also have different degrees of recovery speed. Some wounds were too sharp and could not be healed even if one wanted to. This was not surprising. It was normal for such a situation to occur. The fiendish demon did not suffer any injuries. In fact, in the exchange just now, it could be said that it had the upper hand. Immediately, the corners of its mouth curled up into a cold smile. When it smiled, it was an even uglier performance. Immediately, the fiendish demon's body surged forward. Boom! Once again, a fist smashed towards Li Zongjio. And this time, when he punched out, he directly displayed a sky full of fist shadows. It was vigorous and vigorous. Ordinary people would not be able to see where the fist shadows came from. If one was not careful, one would be directly hit by the opponent's fist. This was the afterimage produced by the opponent's speed. Li Zongjio was not in a hurry. The fist in his hand suddenly punched upwards. The power of one punch could destroy everything. Boom! The power of Li Zongjio's fist was even more domineering. Under this domineering power, the power produced instantly shattered half of the fiendish demon's body. Bang! Half of the fiendish demon's body was directly shattered by Li Zongjio. Such a situation was also quite shocking for the fiendish demon. This was because it did not expect that this injured person could actually shatter its body in such a short time. How did the opponent's strength suddenly soar so much? Li Zongjio held the unparalleled sword in his hand and landed on the ground. With one sword, he chopped off the fiendish demon's head. Originally, the fiendish demon's body would not be able to survive after being split into two. It was only because of its strong vitality that it did not die. Now, its head was directly chopped off. Immediately, the fiendish demon's body also exploded, as if it had turned into a soul being after dying. However, the fiendish demon's body also turned into a wisp of fiendish demon energy. It just happened to drill into Hong Long's body, who had just arrived. The place where it drilled into was the mission notice in Hong Long's hand. There was an additional wisp of fiendish demon energy on it. He killed one so quickly. Hong Long's eyes were also filled with shock. He did not expect Li Zongjio's strength to be so strong. Unexpectedly, he was so strong. He easily killed the fiendish demon. If they continued at this speed, the amount of bountiful harvest they would reap was simply unimaginable. Li Zongjio reached out his hand and grabbed 10 soul beans. It seemed that these fiendish demons did not have a difference in level. He directly collected the soul beans. "You're too fast. I couldn't even keep up," Hong Long said somewhat embarrassedly. Although he could not obtain any soul beans from killing the fiendish demons. However, if he completed this mission, as long as he brought the mission notice back, the City Lord Mansion would reward him handsomely. This was almost like picking up a bargain for free. To Hong Long, he was already satisfied. What more could he ask for? Hong Long was very clear in his heart. With his strength, it would be very difficult to kill even one fiendish demon. You just need to take care of yourself. Li Zongjio did not expect this fellow to be of any help. From the beginning, this fellow was just here to freeload the mission. The trees in the forest were overturned, as if something was rapidly approaching. The trees on both sides were also rapidly falling to the side. What is it? Hong Long also noticed the commotion. Immediately, Hong Long became nervous. His body immediately jumped to the side. Li Zongjio also saw the two figures that were rapidly approaching. The sword in his hand was also rapidly swinging forward. Boom! A gust of sword chi instantly fell forward. It directly blocked the three figures from advancing. Buzz! The three figures were directly blasted away by the sword chi. Another 3 fiendish demons were attacking. They were indeed a group of fiendish demons. 3 of them appeared at once. The hands and mouths of these 3 fiendish demons were all stained with blood. It was obvious that these 3 fiendish demons had killed people before. They had just killed someone. However, they sensed the presence of a fiendish demon aura. Hence, they wanted to take their fiendish demon companion with them. As long as the group of fiendish demons grew stronger, the threat they posed would be even greater. Such a situation occurred. It was like spilled water that could not be retrieved. Hence, they had to kill these fiendish demons in advance before they truly formed a large group. Three of them. Hong Long was stunned. The 3 fiendish demons in front of him. Obviously, they were also at the innate realm. Fiendish demons of this level. Even if he had calculated everything, he could only block one of them. Moreover, he might not be able to hold on for long. If he was not careful, he would be killed by the other party. This was the sad thing about being weak. Li Zongjio glanced at the fiendish demons in front of him. There was no fear in his eyes. In the next second, The figures of these fiendish demons also instantly burst out. They directly charged towards Li Zongjio. Two of the figures charged towards Li Zongjio. The remaining figure also dashed towards Hong Long at lightning speed. Obviously, the lives of these people could not be spared. They must be killed. No chance would be left for these people. Li Zongjio was naturally fearless. The unparalleled sword in his hand. The power of ice and fire lingered. The other party's aura was more than several times stronger than the previous fiendish demon. Now, two of them were charging towards him at the same time. Even Li Zongjio felt a certain amount of pressure. The sword chi slashed on the other party's body and suddenly burst out a powerful movement. Boom! There was such a strong movement. Flames shot in all directions. After a confrontation, the other party's body was not injured at all. He actually blocked all of Li Zongjio's attacks just now. At the same time, the two fiendish demons also instantly punched. They blasted on Li Zongjio's body. Bang! Two fists were no match for four hands. The speed and attack of the other party were also extremely fast. Even Li Zongjio couldn't avoid it. Immediately, he landed on the ground. A wave of air was released from his body and spread around. Unparalleled strike. Li Zongjio lifted his sword and stood up. Two sword chi burst out from the unparalleled sword and swept out in an instant. Bang bang. The two swords hit an innate realm fiendish demon at the same time. The other party's figure was directly forced back. At the same time, a big hole was directly blasted in its chest. Obviously, it was severely injured by this sword. The remaining fiendish demon also directly punched out. But it was blocked by Li Zongjio's palm. And what shocked Li Zongjio was that the other party's wrist actually exploded in an instant. It seemed that there was an additional force that directly bit down on Li Zongjio's hand. This caused Li Zongjio himself to be surprised. After the shock, the other party's teeth had already clamped down on Li Zongjio's wrist with a bang. A sharp pain immediately came. "You're courting death." The chaotic force in Li Zongjio's body surged. Instantly, a terrifying force erupted from his body and directly blew up the demon's hand in front of him. Li Zongjio's arm was also bleeding. If it was a little later, his entire arm would have been bitten off. Chapter 1613. Li Zongjio sealed his acupoints with his elemental energy. At the same time, he reduced his blood flow to the lowest. He did not expect the demon's mouth to contain such powerful poison. Li Zongjio could feel the flow of his aura. It seemed to be gradually disappearing. Li Zongjio immediately activated the heavenly void divine record to force the poison out of his body. Such a threat was quite strong for Li Zongjio. So difficult to deal with. The remaining fiendish demon was clearly beating Hong Long into retreat. Even Hong Long was sent flying by the impact. He rolled on the ground for more than 10 times before he came to a stop. Li Zongjio took the opportunity to appear behind the demon. With a slash of his sword, he opened up a wound on the demon's back. Immediately, the demon knelt down on the ground. The sword energy of the unparalleled sword was too powerful. After being tempered by the heart of the blue sea, it was also very powerful. Naturally, it was also very powerful. With such an imposing aura, it was easy for him to cut open the body of the fiendish demon. Obviously, the strength of this demon was not as strong as the other two. Even Li Zongjio had to use a lot of energy. Now, the two demons were only seriously injured. Phew, thank you, Brother Li. Hong Long thought he was going to die. But at this most critical moment, Li Zongjio finally made a move to save him. Only then did he manage to save his life. Hong Long heaved a sigh of relief. He quickly expressed his gratitude to Li Zongjio. He did not expect that he could not help Li Zongjio at all. Instead, he seemed to be a burden to Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio waved his hand to show that he did not care. But he frowned. He looked in the direction of the two injured demons. He saw two fishing nets flying out of the forest. It was covered with talismans and it immediately caught the two demons. "Oh no, someone is here to steal our demons?" Hong Long exclaimed when he saw this. Li Zongjio's eyes turned cold. How dare they steal from him, Li Zongjio? Speaking of which, Li Zongjio had never encountered such a thing before. Even in the Xingwu continent, such a thing had never happened before. Who would have thought? In this great world, someone dared to rob Li Zongjio. How dare you steal from me? Li Zongjio immediately let out a cold snort. His figure flashed as he charged towards the other party. He slashed the fishing net. Suddenly, the talisman flashed with golden light and blocked Li Zongjio's sword aura. When Li Zongjio saw it, he was extremely shocked. It was obvious that the talisman on it had an indestructible power. But the power of the talisman itself was limited, although it blocked Li Zongjio's sword. But soon, one could see that the light on the talisman gradually dimmed. Stay here. There had never been a situation where someone tried to steal from Li Zongjio. Not in the past, not now, and definitely not in the future. Li Zongjio immediately swung his sword. Instantly, the terrifying sword chi overlapped like layers upon layers of waves. They continued to bombard the fishing net. Even if the fishing net was made of special materials, it could not withstand Li Zongjio's bombardment. Under the last sword, it was instantly shattered. The fiendish demon was also severely injured by the fishing net. Now, after being bombarded by Li Zongjio, it was paralyzed and unable to move. It had no strength to fight back. Watch him, Li Zongjio said to Hong Long. Since the other party wanted to capture this demon alive. This meant that this demon must be useful. The other demon was dragged away by the other party. Li Zongjio would definitely not let the matter rest. With a flash of his body, he chased after the other party. Li Zongjio wanted to see just who had the guts to snatch something from him, Li Zongjio. Therefore, Li Zongjio immediately chased after the other party. Boom! Li Zongjio's footwork was as fast as thunder. He had learned it in the Xingwu continent. At this time, it could play a crucial role. When Li Zongjio chased after the other party realized that one of their fishing nets had been cut open. Two figures blocked Li Zongjio's way. Who are you? How dare you stop the Heavenly Fiend Alliance? Heavenly Fiend Alliance. It was the Heavenly Fiend Alliance again. The two figures stood in the middle of the road and glared at Li Zongjio. Below him was the fiendish demon that had been dragged away by the other party and was riddled with injuries. It was the fiendish demon whose arm was broken by Li Zongjio. Clearly, this fiendish demon had also suffered serious injuries from the other party's continuous attacks. This fishing net was a good magic weapon. As long as it covered people, the talismans on it could form a set of arrays. Then, under such circumstances, it would constantly release attacks. However, if the person did not have enough strength to break free from the fishing net, he could only be trapped in it and slowly lose all his energy. Li Zongjio glanced at the fishing net and was very interested in it. So what if you are from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance? You dare to snatch my things? Only death awaits you. Li Zongjio said calmly. His tone was full of killing intent. The injury on his arm had miraculously taken a turn for the better. After being injured by the other party, Li Zongjio was very surprised that he could recover in such a short time. After all, an injury of this level was obviously not easy to recover from. Therefore, Li Zongjio did not expect his injury to recover so quickly. It seemed that the effect of the 100 Tribulations elixir was very strong. Now, Li Zongjio's body was like a treasure that could be excavated endlessly. Under such circumstances, he could recover his injuries to the extreme. If the injury was more serious, Li Zongjio's body? After the recovery, his body would become more powerful. Li Zongjio's arrogant tone surprised everyone. The two people in front of him were also shocked. Obviously, they looked at Li Zongjio in disbelief. They did not expect this guy to be so bold. He actually dared to go against the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. Either he was a fool or he had just arrived and did not know how powerful the Heavenly Fiend Alliance was. Young man, I advise you to be more respectful. The Heavenly Fiend Alliance is not something you can offend. There were two people. One of them was an old man in green, holding a fishing rod in his hand. The other person was an old lady carrying a fish basket. The two of them were obviously a married couple. To be able to stay together after such a long time, it showed that their relationship was very deep. Moreover, the tacit understanding between the two of them must be very high. At the same time, Li Zongjio could tell that the cultivation of the two of them was not simple. Innate level 5. The other person was innate level 6. No, return this demon to me. Otherwise, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance is the one who provoked me. Li Zongjio shook his head. He said calmly. Based on the situation in front of him, it was not easy to let the matter rest. Moreover, there must be other experts from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance around. If the fight continued for too long, it would definitely attract other people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. Li Zongjio came here to kill fiendish demons, not to kill people. However, if these people insisted on stopping him, Li Zongjio would have no choice but to take action. It was difficult to win against the strong. However, Li Zongjio would also let them know how powerful Evil Lord was. Li Zongjio used to be the best at surviving in desperate situations. If such a situation had to happen, Li Zongjio would definitely be like a beast in the dark, devouring the Heavenly Fiend Alliance bit by bit. Seeing Li Zongjio's sharp gaze, the two of them could not help but be stunned. Most importantly, they had never heard of anyone who could speak in such a savage tone. It was as if he did not take them seriously at all. He did not even take the Heavenly Fiend Alliance seriously. Who exactly is this guy? Why is he so domineering? The two of them were stunned. They did not expect this young man to have such courage. From the latter's gaze, they could also tell that Li Zongjio was not joking. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Little brother, if you like this demon, I'll let you have it. We'll meet again in the pugilistic world. The two of them actually left the demon where it was. At the same time, they kept the talisman fishing net. Then, the two of them turned and left. They quickly disappeared before Li Zongjio's eyes. They thought that they could not be kind anymore. However, Li Zongjio did not expect that the other party could understand so quickly. Knowing that he was no match for Li Zongjio, he gave up on the demon and left. This made Li Zongjio heave a sigh of relief. However, he did not let down his guard. This time, the other party left because he was afraid of Li Zongjio. However, if they met again, the other party would have a great advantage. When that time came, he might not let the matter rest so easily. Even now, they might have gone to look for helpers on the way. This was not a place to stay for long. Li Zongjio grabbed the fiendish demon on the ground. He leaped back to where Hong Long was. Hong Long looked at the two demons alone. Although they were both seriously injured, they were still under a lot of pressure. If someone were to sneak up on them from behind, it would be terrible for Hong Long. If a demon directly smelled the scent and approached, it would be even worse. Fortunately, Li Zongjio came back quickly. When they saw that Li Zongjio actually brought back the demon that was caught by the Celestial Master Net, they were very surprised. You can still snatch it back? The latter was obviously very shocked. He did not expect Li Zongjio to really snatch the demon back. He thought that Li Zongjio was just angry and wanted to chase after the demon to vent his anger. However, it seemed that he really had the ability. We just met two people who wanted to capture these two demons alive. But Li Zongjio asked. Hong Long was shocked at first. Then he thought for a moment. If they chose to capture them alive, they might want to use them as bait. They want to catch a big fish? Let's find that demon with the treasures in the underground palace. The underground palace treasure. Li Zongjio also thought of it. Since these people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance did not care for such a small business, why would they mobilize so many people at this time? Obviously, there was something here that was worth their attention. Therefore they came. The legendary underground palace treasure. This was the real fatal attraction. Chapter 16:14. Evidently, he was going to use this item to catch a big fish. Li Zongjio understood. However, he wasn't going to do that. Since it was a big fish, with Li Zongjio's current abilities, he might not be able to take it down. After all, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance members were still here. If he were to make a move now, he would definitely be targeted by them. Hence, what Li Zongjio wanted to do now was to find out where the main force of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance was. Once they caught the big fish, it would be very convenient for him to make a move. He would defeat them directly. Even if he were to make a move, it would definitely be extremely dangerous. As the saying goes, wealth comes from danger. The current Li Zongjio was still the evil lord of the past. Hence, Li Zongjio still had the ambition to search for treasures, the belief to take risks. If one wanted a stable and safe life, one wouldn't be able to increase their abilities greatly. Everyone had to break through and stand up. Even if one was mediocre, when one broke through one's own fire, one would know how powerful one's potential was. One could even create unlimited possibilities. Bang bang! Li Zongjio killed the 3 demons on the ground. There was no point in keeping them. Instantly, the power of the 3 demons surged into the mission notice. Li Zongjio kept the remaining soul beans. Hong Long was drooling at the side. These 10 soul beans are yours. Li Zongjio tossed 10 soul beans to Hong Long. Even Hong Long himself was very surprised. He didn't expect Li Zongjio to be so generous. These were 10 soul beans. To some extremely poor people, this was equivalent to 10 days of lifespan. Who knew how many people were constantly on the move for these soul beans? Some even fought until their heads bled and they lost their lives in the end. The reason why Li Zongjio gave it to Hong Long was because Hong Long was indeed a good tour guide. Besides, the following things might be very dangerous. The fisherman couple had seen him earlier and should already know that he had killed a member of the Sky Fiend Alliance and was listed as an enemy of the Sky Fiend Alliance. However, they did not attack him on the spot. This meant that they were wary of Li Zongjio. However, when they returned this time, they would definitely report this matter to their leader. When they met again, the other party would definitely be prepared. They would find Li Zongjio directly. Go! Li Zongjio continued to lead Hong Long into the forest. Hong Long was also very excited. In just a short while, he had already killed 4 demons. One had to know that although some people had accepted this demon hunting mission, the strength of the demons was too great. In addition, there were so many of them that it was extremely difficult to kill them. Often, they would have to pay an extremely painful price. Many people lost more than they gained. However, Li Zongjio could easily grasp it. Kill these demons and capture them. It was so easy to get what he wanted. Up until now, he had only seen Li Zongjio with this kind of ability. It was indeed very amazing. He did not expect to be able to get a share of the pie. Hong Long himself did not expect this at all. Moreover, he was even more determined to follow Li Zongjio. As long as there was meat to eat, it did not matter who he followed. At the very beginning, Hong Long and Li Zongjio went to complete the rescue mission together. Hong Long could tell that Li Zongjio's strength was extraordinary. Otherwise, he would not have turned around and run back. Even after he ran back, he was shocked to find that Li Zongjio had actually directly subdued the other party's poison dragon with his powerful strength. Who else could achieve this level of strength? To this extent. It was really unprecedented and would not be replicated in the future. Anyway, Hong Long had never seen it before. It was gloomy all around. These demons only appear at night. However, they are at their strongest at night. Usually, if the Heavenly Fiend Alliance wants to take action, they will definitely do it before daybreak. At that time, the fiendish demon is at its weakest. However, this fiendish demon mission has only been out for a short period of time. It will not be easy to find the fiendish demon with the treasure in the underground palace. Hong Long analyzed. Although he was not powerful, his analysis of the situation was clear and logical. Li Zongjio could not help but take another look. Usually, how many days will this situation last? Li Zongjio was asking about the continuous appearance of these demons. How long would the situation last? This was also a very crucial point. Hence, Li Zongjio also needed to know the approximate time. Usually, it will be cleaned up within a week. It mainly depends on the number of demons. If there are a lot of them, it will naturally take longer. If the situation goes out of control, the city lord's mansion will even send troops. Hong Long said. At most 3 days, these people will be able to find the demon who has the treasure in the underground palace. Li Zongjio's eyes were shining. He was already thinking in his heart. What exactly should he do? What method should he use to get the treasure in the underground palace? Li Zongjio knew how powerful this parallel world was. Now that he knew about the existence of the underground palace's treasure, he was also very tempted. He would definitely not let go of such a great opportunity. You are not thinking of taking action against the underground palace's treasure, are you? Hong Long suddenly looked at Li Zongjio in shock. It was as if he was in disbelief. No one had ever been so bold. He actually wanted to become enemies with the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. This was a very foolish action. Although the underground palace's treasure was very attractive and there would be countless people who wanted to fight for it, it was obvious that these people would only end up in one place, death. Don't worry, you don't have to do anything. Li Zongjio looked at the hesitant Hong Long and said directly. The latter also swallowed the words that he wanted to say to persuade Li Zongjio. Only Li Zongjio himself could decide what to do. Outsiders had no way of interfering. Moreover, if he angered Li Zongjio directly, he might not even be able to protect his own life. It was fine as long as he did not have to do anything. Although it was a very dangerous thing to follow behind and take advantage of the situation. Li Zongjio found a quiet place to adjust his breathing. Since there was still time, Li Zongjio was not in a hurry to waste his time and energy. He adjusted his body's condition first. The previous battle had consumed a lot of Li Zongjio's energy. Although his injuries had recovered, the way these people fought with their lives gave Li Zongjio a headache. These demons were indeed very difficult to deal with. They were very resilient. As long as there was a chance, they would kill you. Even if he would get hurt, he would risk his life to leave a wound on his opponent's body. This was the terrifying strength of these people. Therefore, the next time he fought with these fiendish demons, he would have to kill them from afar. If they got close to him, the threat would be infinitely greater. Late at night on the first day, there was no movement. Both of them deliberately restrained their aura. They lowered their aura to the lowest level. However, they could still hear the sounds of fighting outside. Li Zongjio estimated that these people would need at least 1 or 2 days to find the demon that hid the underground palace's treasure. Li Zongjio did not care what method they used. Hong Long also hid in the same place for the whole night. Although he heard the noise outside, he did not dare to come out and take advantage of the situation. If he rushed out, he would definitely be beaten up by the crowd. Therefore, Hong Long stayed in the cave obediently. With Li Zongjio here, he was at least relatively safe. The next morning, Li Zongjio and Hong Long were also searching the mountain. Along the way, they found many traces of fighting. There were even some people who were on the verge of death and were abandoned by the side of the road. When such a situation occurred, Li Zongjio also went forward and directly killed the people, taking their lives. Otherwise, if they were abandoned, it meant that these people had been abandoned. In the macro world, there was no such thing as companions. 1 second, they might be your companions, but the next second, they might become a top assassin. I'll directly harvest your head and take away everything you have. In the macro world, no one was trustworthy. There had been countless examples, and Li Zongjio was naturally aware of this. However, Hong Long was relatively honest so far. He did not have any intention to deal with Li Zongjio. If there was, the poison dragon Ao Tian would have rushed out immediately and killed Hong Long instantly. Li Zongjio knew that Hong Long would not do that. He also knew that Hong Long had other motives. That was why he appeared by Li Zongjio's side. He was at Li Zongjio's beck and call. The two of them also searched for a while. They followed the mountain forest and approached the place where the traces of fighting were getting stronger. Even Li Zongjio was in a forest. He actually saw a fish basket. When Li Zongjio saw it for the first time, he felt that it was very familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere before. It's the woman from yesterday. When Li Zongjio saw the fish basket, his heart skipped a beat. In Li Zongjio's impression, these two people were relatively vigilant. Moreover, his strength was not weak, but in such a short period of time, he had lost his life. Li Zongjio sighed when he saw this. In the macro world, when a person died, there would not even be a corpse left. The only thing left would be the clothes that belonged to you. Perhaps these things would also be taken away by others. In such a situation, the situation was very serious. It was no wonder that Hong Long did not dare to leave Li Zongjio's side. It was really too dangerous. Seeing such a situation happen. To them, this was a very dangerous situation. It seems that the battle last night was very intense. In that case, there will probably be a result tonight. Li Zongjio calculated in his heart. The other party's actions were much faster than expected. Obviously, they wanted to end the battle quickly. If they delayed, there would be changes. Perhaps there would be other forces. After hearing about the treasure in the underground palace, they would quickly come. After all, there would be some troublesome people who would come. Even the name Heavenly Fiend Alliance might not be useful. Suddenly, there was a wave of fighting in front. There are no demons now. There must be people fighting. Hong Long said, "Let's go and take a look." Chapter 16:15. Immediately, Li Zongjio and Hong Long arrived at the edge of the battlefield. However, he discovered that there were a total of 7 people surrounding and attacking a woman. They are from the Sky Fiend Alliance. The strength of these 7 people was quite strong. They attacked the woman in front of them. The woman's body movement was graceful. She was fighting 7 men alone. Naturally, it was dangerous and urgent. However, it was not easy for the 7 of them to take her down in a short time. This woman seems to be the Thousand Moon Sect leader. Thousand Moon Sect leader? Li Zongjio also felt a little strange about this form of address. Thousand Moon Sect leader, we are just following orders. If you want to force your way in, don't blame us. The other party seemed to be afraid of Qianyu. After fighting for a while, they realized that they could not take her down. Therefore, they used such threatening words to persuade her to leave. Otherwise, they would definitely kill Qianyu. Qianyu would be able to bear the consequences herself. However, the woman who was called the Thousand Moon Sect leader was not moved. The Sky Fiend Alliance is so arrogant. How dare you attack me? Qianyu snorted coldly. Her tone was extremely arrogant. There is a Thousand Moon Sect in the city. Although there are not many of them, they are all beauties and top experts. They keep in touch with many forces. Therefore, ordinary people do not dare to act rashly. Hong Long said in a low voice. The Thousand Moon Sect leader seemed to have heard the movements of Li Zongjio and the others. She looked over and dashed towards Li Zongjio. Good move. The 7 of them chased after the Thousand Moon Sect leader. Otherwise, with the Thousand Moon Sect leader's strength, he would be able to shake them off easily. If the Thousand Moon Sect leader made a move at the critical moment, it would not be good. The 7 of them had failed in their duties. Li Zongjio and Hong Long appeared. The 7 people from the Sky Fiend Alliance looked at Li Zongjio and Hong Long cautiously. For the past 2 days, the entire mountain had been on high alert, so no one would be able to come this far. Even the outermost layer had been sealed. It was impossible for ordinary people to rush in. For these 2 to be able to appear here, they were either originally on this mountain and had been hiding here for a long time, or they were so powerful that those who sealed the mountain were not able to stop them. The Heavenly Fiend Alliance is handling matters. Why aren't you all moving aside? The leader of the 7 also shouted angrily. He was the first to speak, wanting to test the strength of Li Zongjio and Li Zongjio. In the great world, anything could happen in the pursuit of benefits. Thus, he had to clearly see the origins of these 2 people. If they ruined the Heavenly Fiend Alliance's plans, then the 7 of them would definitely be in trouble. When that time came, the Alliance Master would definitely not let them off. 2 heroes, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance is arrogant and despotic. Now, there are only 7 of them. If you can help me fend off 2 of them, I can naturally take care of the remaining 5 by myself. How about that? Qianyu purposely forced Li Zongjio and Li Zongjio out. If they formed a tripartite situation, at least the Heavenly Fiend Alliance would not be able to deal with her wholeheartedly. To her, this was equivalent to finding an extremely good opportunity. As long as the opponent's formation was chaotic, then she would have a chance to break through the defense of these 7 people. By then, if they wanted to find her, they would have to sleep together at night. 100 soul beans per person. I'll help you kill as many as you give me. The Heavenly Fiend Alliance people looked fiercely at Li Zongjio. However, they did not expect Li Zongjio to say such arrogant words at this moment. He actually wanted to kill the Heavenly Fiend Alliance people. Furthermore, he had clearly stated the price. To Qian Yu, such bold words were extremely impressive. She did not know where this child got his courage from, but he actually dared to say such words. She admired him very much. As for whether he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to cheat the soul beans, that was another matter. After all, to be able to say such words, he himself was not simple. If an ordinary person mentioned the 3 words Heavenly Fiend Alliance, their teeth would be chattering. Alright, help me kill the 3 strongest ones. Qian Yu pointed at the 3 people in front. The 3 of them were all innate level 6. The 3 of them joining forces obviously had a huge impact on Qian Yu. It was also because the 3 of them joined forces that Qian Yu was very wary of them. As for the remaining 4 people, their strength could only be considered average. It was naturally easy to deal with them. The 7 people from Heavenly Fiend Alliance were also burning with anger. They did not expect these 2 people to casually push them around as if they were discussing a pork business. Moreover, they were discussing such a deal in front of them. They really did not take them seriously. Pay up first. Li Zongjio said. A ray of light flashed across Qian Yu's eyes. This request was not unexpected. However, he did not expect Li Zongjio to actually dare to accept this job. This meant that Li Zongjio was really capable. Since he dared to make such a request, he might even help Heavenly Fiend Alliance to kill him later. Hence, Qian Yu threw out a bag of soul beans. 100 soul beans. This is the deposit. Li Zongjio weighed it in his hand. It was not a lot, not a little. You will be the first to die. Li Zongjio pointed at the leader of the other party. Since there was already a beginning, and they would definitely have to fight with these people next, there was no need to be afraid of offending the people in front of him. He would just kill them all. It was also a good opportunity to destroy Heavenly Fiend Alliance's prestige. In the past, Li Zongjio was not here, so you people could be as arrogant as you want. However, now that Li Zongjio was here, he naturally would not allow you people to continue being arrogant. You are courting death. The leader of the 7 people from Heavenly Fiend Alliance roared angrily. He made a hand gesture and charged out with another innate level 5 expert. The remaining 5 people continued to stare at the person in front of them. They would definitely not let him leave. Qian Yu was the most important target. As for this Li Zongjio who suddenly appeared, he was just a clown. The weapon in his hand was a huge 2-handed sword, while the innate level 5 expert was holding a pair of bronze hammers. When the hammers collided, sound waves spread out. Once they were released, they would cause people to fall into a state of dizziness. Li Zongjio was still holding a sword by himself. The sword was his? His cultivation was much weaker than Li Zongjio's. In addition, Li Zongjio had taken the 100 Calamity Elixir. Although his willpower had not broken through to innate level 8, he was not far from it. Moreover, his physical strength had also increased. His abilities were many times stronger than before. It would be a piece of cake to deal with the 2 of them. He unsheathed the unparalleled sword. In the next second, Li Zongjio's body swayed. He charged towards the 2 people. Instead of retreating, he advanced. This made it clear to the people from Heavenly Fiend Alliance that this guy was serious. He was simply courting death. He roared angrily. Both of them released their energy towards Li Zongjio at the same time. Suddenly, a strong wave of energy hit them. Hong Long naturally hid far away. When such experts fought, even if it was just a little bit of the aftershock, it was not something that ordinary people could withstand. They had to protect themselves. Qian Yu also stared at Li Zongjio's movements closely. In an instant, Li Zongjio also drew his sword. Suddenly, a cold light flashed past. It seemed like a white light had swept past. This beam of light was swift and fierce, and its aura was like a rainbow. In an instant, the 2 of them were enveloped by the sword energy. There was no need for any extra fancy moves. Boom! The remaining sword energy even gradually spread towards the horizon. In the process of flying, It also swept forward bit by bit. Like a wave, it was pushing forward layer by layer. He looked at the two people in front of him. He still maintained his original posture. But soon, blood burst out from his chest. Thick blood, like a fountain, instantly spread out from his body. At this moment, the two of them looked at each other. Obviously, they could see in each other's eyes. It was obvious? They were shocked. They did not see this sword move at all. How did it come out? Boom, boom. Their bodies directly exploded on the spot. At the same time, they turned into 11 soul beings, which Li Zongjio stretched out his hand to summon them. This is two of them. Li Zongjio said indifferently. According to what Qianyu said, if the other 4 people attacked at the same time, then he would not be able to counterattack. Naturally, it would be a loss. How could Li Zongjio do this kind of loss-making business? Everyone was extremely shocked. A ray of light flashed in Qianyu's eyes. Even she couldn't see that sword move clearly. It was too fast. The speed and power of the sword were too strong. When did such an expert appear? Qianyu was instantly shocked. No wonder he could directly say that he wanted to buy their lives in front of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. With such strength and confidence, there would naturally be no problem. Okay. Qianyu's eyes were instantly filled with joy. It was naturally a good thing to have an expert like Li Zongjio to help her get out of this predicament. Maybe they could even cooperate. The remaining 5 people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance looked at Li Zongjio with a tinge of fear and vigilance in their eyes. Because Li Zongjio was a person who would do what he said. Brother, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance will give you 1,000 soul beans as long as you kill this woman. The second in command of the other party seemed to have a quick reaction. He directly said to Li Zongjio, "Okay, pay up first." Li Zongjio nodded. Then he stretched out his hand. 1,000 soul beans. This was not a small sum. However, compared to the 100% chance of being killed by Li Zongjio, it was still a very dangerous thing. He would rather bribe the other party directly under such circumstances. Spending some money did not matter. The most important thing was to be able to survive. That was the most important thing. He threw a black bag to Li Zongjio. 1,000 soul beans. Hong Long, who was at the side, saw Li Zongjio's actions and was simply stunned. He was so shocked that his jaw dropped. This was because Li Zongjio had directly earned 1,200 soul beans. He had easily become rich. He had completed such a difficult mission and was only rewarded with 500 soul beans. Not only did he have to have strength, but he also had to have enough courage. Qianyu's eyes were calm. If Li Zongjio were to attack her, she would have to run away. Very well, I will give you a quick death. Li Zongjio pulled out his sword and looked at the Heavenly Fiend Alliance people. Chapter 1616. Everyone from Heavenly Fiend Alliance was stunned. Why didn't they follow the script? Why did this guy draw his sword against them after taking the money? You didn't keep your word. Everyone from Heavenly Fiend Alliance looked at Li Zongjio. Moreover, the expression on his face was extremely resentful. They seemed to hate people like Li Zongjio who didn't care about morals. He took the money and didn't do anything. There's no other reason. I just don't like you guys. Li Zongjio released a strong sword aura with his sword. Ice and fire tornadoes swirled. The sword actually engulfed the remaining 5 people. This sword attack was extremely terrifying. It was extremely powerful. The 5 people from Heavenly Fiend Alliance were caught off guard. 3 of them were instantly crushed by the strong sword aura. Their bodies exploded in the air. They turned into soul beans and fell into Li Zongjio's hands. The remaining 2 wanted to escape in different directions. With Li Zongjio and Qianyu's strength, it would be impossible for them to survive if the 2 of them joined forces. They had no other way to deal with them. The only way to survive was to escape. It was obvious. In front of Li Zongjio, it wasn't easy to escape. He quickly chased after them. With a single slash, this innate level 6 expert was heavily injured. In fact, if he fought with Li Zongjio head-on, he wouldn't have died so quickly. But the bad thing was, the strong abilities that Li Zongjio displayed just now completely shocked them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so scared. They turned around and ran. This was a very foolish behavior. In front of a beast that was stronger than you, if you directly turned around and left, then the outcome was very clear. You would be killed. Li Zongjio originally wanted to chase after the other person. Although the other party ran quickly, it wasn't difficult to catch up. But when he turned around, he felt a strong wave of energy. The remaining innate level 6 experts were all killed by Qian Yu. Qian Yu's weapon was a fan. Phoenix Bone Fan. The pulsating flame aura was also extremely dense and intense. That expert was killed in an instant. Indeed, it would be very difficult to escape from the joint forces of Li Zongjio and Qian Yu. Previously, these people had worked together to force Qian Yu into such a sorry state. If he didn't retaliate, then he wouldn't be the Thousand Moon Sect master. Qian Yu was a little worried just now. He was worried that Li Zongjio would really deal with him after receiving the money. Now, he was actually relieved. When Li Zongjio killed these people, he was so decisive and straightforward. He already knew that Li Zongjio was definitely not with these people. There were very few people who could directly go against the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. Hong Long, on the other hand, was hiding in the distance as he watched this scene unfold before him. His heart was also extremely shocked. It was obvious that this group of 7 people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance was also very strong. However, at this moment, they had all been dealt with. They were easily wiped out by Li Zongjio and the rest. The strong image of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance in the past was also gone. Before this, they still thought that these people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance were extremely vicious. They killed people like Flax and did not care about feelings. They killed people on sight. But now, after seeing Li Zongjio, against these people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance, he didn't show any mercy. One sword, one sword, one sword, one sword. This was a truly ferocious person. No matter who saw it, they would feel a sense of fear. Only when such a scene appeared would it be shocking. Evil people would be tortured by evil people. So these people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance couldn't do anything when they met Li Zongjio. Too strong. If these 2 people joined forces, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance would probably tremble. A thought flashed across Hong Long's mind. Qian Yu and Li Zongjio were so powerful that the Heavenly Fiend Alliance naturally couldn't resist. So if the 2 of them joined forces, they might really be able to challenge the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. He just didn't know if the 2 of them could sit down and talk about cooperation calmly. After all, no matter how he looked at it, these 2 people were extremely proud and arrogant. They wouldn't accept others so easily. Your Excellency, you are very skilled. Qian Yu would like to thank you. Here are 700 soul beans. Please accept them. Qian Yu maintained a sense of vigilance. At least from the looks of it, this? Li Zongjio's strength was also above hers. Even without her help, Li Zongjio could easily wipe out this group of people from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. But Qian Yu couldn't. If she was really forced to use any means, she might be able to do it, but it definitely wouldn't be easy. So in comparison, Li Zongjio's strength was obviously stronger. Facing such a powerful person who killed without batting an eyelid and didn't hesitate at all, Qian Yu had to be vigilant. They had to be even more vigilant. Otherwise, they might be killed by Li Zongjio. If that happened, she would be really unlucky. The soul beans were even better than what she had said before. Qian Yu had specially given more to prevent Li Zongjio from finding an excuse to cause trouble. Since she was willing to give more, Li Zongjio didn't have to reject her. He directly reached out and took the soul beans. Just from this battle alone, Li Zongjio had earned more than 2,000 soul beans. That was why it was so easy to earn money with great power. After receiving the soul beans, Li Zongjio called Hong Long and turned to leave. He didn't say anything more to Qian Yu. This made Qian Yu very surprised. Such a straightforward person was truly difficult to deal with. However, Qian Yu didn't continue to stay at the same spot. Her figure instantly flew into the distance. This time, she had personally come to scout. She didn't expect to meet such a strong resistance. Obviously, this mission was extremely important to the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. This was an important matter. There must be a treasure. Since Qian Yu knew about this, she definitely couldn't let the Heavenly Fiend Alliance take it away so easily. Otherwise, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance would become even more powerful. In the future, her small factions wouldn't have any chance of survival. So she had to stop the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. Not only that, but there was also a mysterious young expert. Qian Yu didn't know Li Zongjiu's name, but from his strength, he was extremely powerful. Fortunately, such a mysterious expert was an enemy of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. If he was a friend of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance, it would be an even more difficult day for Qian Yu. However, Li Zongjiu's appearance had obviously increased the difficulty of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. Perhaps in the end, they would be able to cooperate with Li Zongjiu. Chapter 16-17. In the depths of the forest. This was a piece of flat land that had been cultivated. There were many figures lying in ambush around. And there was a deep pit in the ground. There were more than 10 severely injured demons piled up in the pit. The blood of the demons flowed out continuously. Once it was daytime, these demons would hide and be hard to find. Some of them? It would directly transform into a stone statue to hide its body. However, demons that were captured by humans would not be included in this list. Hence, these demons were all severely injured and caught. Even the blood of the fiendish demons was constantly gathering. The blood gathered into a river. The sky was turning dark. A few men in black walked out from the forest. One of them had a compass in his hand. At this moment, the compass also seemed to be rotating slightly, almost to the point of stopping. There were close to 20 experts lying in ambush in the surroundings. They were all upper sky experts. Has the area been cleaned up? The man with the compass asked the two people beside him. This man's identity was not simple. The third head of Heavenly Fiend Alliance, Qin Tianwei. His eyes were imposing. This mission was extremely crucial. If they could snatch the underground palace treasure from the demons, it would be equivalent to raising the strength of Heavenly Fiend Alliance by a level. Then, there would be no other forces in the city that could go against Heavenly Fiend Alliance. Even the other two would not be able to. Heavenly Fiend Alliance was even confident that they could devour the other two forces. But the prerequisite was that they had to get the treasure. Everything has been cleaned up. But there is no reply from Wu Fu and the rest in charge of the north side of the mountain. I have already sent people to check on the situation. North side? Bring more people. No, Xinghu, you go there personally. No matter who it is, once you find them, kill them. The third head of Heavenly Fiend Alliance said in a deep voice. Qinghu, who was standing on the left side of the third head, accepted the order immediately. He waved his hand and picked 6 people. Qinghu was considered the third head's right-hand man. He was strong and loyal. It was said that the third head had saved his life a long time ago. Hence, Qinghu followed the third head. He was loyal and became the third head's sharp knife. There are less than 4 hours until nightfall. Tell everyone to stay alert. If we succeed this time, everyone will be rewarded. The third head said. This enticement was quite effective. It directly ignited everyone's enthusiasm. Qinghu and his subordinates were called the Qinghu Squad. This team was also considered to be the team with the highest appearance rate in the Crimson Soul City. Basically, all the troublesome matters were resolved by the Green Tiger team. When an unexpected situation occurred, the third head sent the Green Tiger Squad to resolve it. Soon, someone from the Cyan Tiger group discovered the clothes that were left behind by Qian Yu and the others after they were killed. Because there were no corpses. Therefore, he could only rely on the remnant aura and the items and clothes that he had. It's the remnant aura of Wu Fu and the others. They must have run into some experts. A capable subordinate of Qinghu said. As one of Qinghu's subordinates, he had always followed Qinghu's style. They killed decisively and were cruel by nature. Furthermore, his perception was extremely sharp. Apart from Wu Fu and the others, there are 2 other people who are fighting. There's a fragrance, and one of them is a woman. It wasn't strange for a woman to appear. However, since she dared to go against the Heavenly Fiend Alliance, this woman was definitely not simple. Even in the entire Crimson Soul City, there weren't many of them. Sect Master Chenyu, Qinghu said calmly. He was indeed very sensitive to the surrounding scents. With a casual sniff, he already knew the identity of the other party. He was very close to it. In this aspect, he couldn't be wrong. Search for them, Qinghu ordered. The 6 subordinates quickly spread out and carried out the search. They searched for Li Zongjio and Chenyu. The forest seemed very big, but in reality, it wasn't too difficult. After all, the Heavenly Fiend Alliance had already sealed off most of the areas. If outsiders wanted to get close to the central area, they would definitely be discovered by the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. If there was no news of the dead or slaughtered people, they would have entered from this direction. Qinghu opened his arms. It was as if he was embracing the air. Under the surrounding aura, he gradually felt a strong sword aura condensing. After a while, Qinghu opened his eyes. There was a trace of shock in his eyes. Obviously, he had felt a strong aura coming towards him. What a strong sword aura! Qinghu's eyes lit up with a trace of battle intent. Qinghu could feel the strong sword aura from the other party's sword aura. It made Qinghu understand. This was an expert. It's been a long time since I met such an opponent. Qinghu's eyes were filled with battle intent. According to his intuition and judgment, the other party was so powerful. He would definitely go straight in and find the place where they had set up the trap. Then, at the crucial moment, he would directly attack and disrupt the battle. Therefore, he had to take down this person with strong sword aura before that happened. After finding a direction, he directly leaped into the air and flew forward. Boom! Li Zongjio and Hong Long were walking in the forest. He could vaguely feel that there was something wrong in the south. It was as if an extremely strong blood aura was brewing. Li Zongjio guessed that this should be a place set up by these people. Yesterday, they had met these people who wanted to capture the demon that Li Zongjio had injured. Thinking about it, this was probably the reason. Let's go! Just as Li Zongjio was leading Hong Long forward. In the sky, there seemed to be many figures flying in and out at high speed. Those who could act so arrogantly must be from the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. Is it really okay for us to barge in like this? Isn't it bad? Hong Long's heart was still filled with fear. Although he had gained a lot of benefits, at least Li Zongjio had taken good care of him. However, Hong Long was already feeling a little guilty. The deeper they went, the more experts there would be and the stronger they would be. The risk of fighting would be greater. Unless Li Zongjio was invincible with his sword. In that case, there was still some possibility. Don't worry, I will guarantee your safety, Li Zongjio said calmly. It was obvious that this kind of guarantee was so weak that no one would believe it even if they stopped. However, Li Zongjio had this kind of charm that made Hong Long choose to believe him. He could not help but choose to believe Li Zongjio. Since he had already said so, there was nothing to worry about. He just had to do it. I'm afraid it won't be that easy to be safe. Li Zongjio and Hong Long stopped in their tracks. The voice coming from the front made Li Zongjio frown. Chapter 16:18. Li Zongjio gestured with his hand. Hong Long knew that he had to hide again. The person in front of him released a surge of energy, shattering the trees in front of him. He cleared a path in the forest. He held a pair of swords in his hands. On the 2 swords, there were even some serrated edges. It's Qinghu, the right-hand man of the Heavenly Fiend Alliance's 3rd leader. He's ruthless, determined, and powerful. He's the one who can't deal with the Heavenly Fiend Alliance. Hong Long hurriedly shouted. After all, Li Zongjio wasn't very clear about the identities of these people, and this was the only thing Hong Long could do now. If he couldn't be of use, in that case, Li Zongjio might really abandon her. It's you who killed Wu Fu and the others. Where's Chenyu? Qinghu was powerful. But at least he knew now. If he joined forces with Chenyu, if he wanted to take them down alone, it would definitely be an extremely difficult task. She's not here. Don't worry, Li Zongjio said calmly. He seemed to be saying that they didn't need to join forces to deal with him. Qinghu snorted coldly. He understood the meaning behind Li Zongjio's words. Let's fight. I want to see your sword energy. Li Zongjio drew his sword as soon as Qinghu finished speaking. Since they were enemies, there was no need to talk. A cold light flashed in the forest. Then, Li Zongjio's figure quickly rushed forward. The sword energy in his hand exploded. The rocks and trees along the way were covered with a thick layer of frost energy. They were completely frozen. Before the sword chi reached him, he already felt a chill in his heart. 2 tigers descend the mountain. Qinghu held 2 swords. He stabbed them into the ground. Boom! Like 2 ferocious tigers, they charged towards Li Zongjio. The moment these 2 ferocious tigers landed on the ground, they caused an extremely strong tremor in the mountain forest. It seemed to want to shatter Li Zongjio's sword chi. Swoosh! Ice and fire curled up. Li Zongjio brandished his 2 swords. His reaction was incomparably fast, and he directly flew out from between the 2 ferocious tigers. When he got close to the other party, the matchless sword suddenly slashed down. The green tiger dual swords parried. Although Li Zongjio was only wielding the sword with one hand, Qinghu was unable to withstand the force of the attack. Qinghu's knee hit the ground with a loud bang and he was forced to kneel down. Immediately, Qinghu rolled to the side. Li Zongjio's sword power was neutralized. He also got up very quickly and attacked Li Zongjio. As he flipped his body, Li Zongjio also stabbed forward with his matchless sword. At least Qinghu could block his sword. Buddha's palm. Just when Qinghu thought that Li Zongjio was only good at swordsmanship, Li Zongjio suddenly took a step forward. At the same time, his palm hit Qinghu's chest. Bang! Qinghu's body instantly flew hundreds of meters away and rolled down a small hill. The palm hit the 3rd time. Qinghu's body just bounced up. Li Zongjio's sword chi had already attacked. Boom! The sword fell to the ground. It cut a 100-meter-deep gully on the ground. Qinghu was also shocked. His eyes flashed with cold light. Li Zongjio's sword chi attacked. Since Qinghu wanted to see Li Zongjio's sword chi, Li Zongjio certainly had to fulfill his wish. Clang, clang, clang. The 2 weapons collided. Suddenly, Li Zongjio gently flicked his matchless sword. It actually cut off Qinghu's double swords. Heavenly Tyrant Tiger's striped palm. Qinghu threw away the double swords in his hands. Then he raised his palms and hit Li Zongjio. Bang! Li Zongjio was also hit hard by the palm. Immediately his body swept backward. Qinghu's strength was not weak. At most, he was only slightly weaker than Li Zongjio. Now that he felt the attack, it was obvious that Qinghu in front of him did not hold back. He blocked it. Qinghu had been preparing this move for a long time. He even directly threw away his weapon to fight for a chance to attack. But he did not expect that. Li Zongjio could still stand there unscathed after being hit by his palm. And Li Zongjio also felt that his own strength had completely dissolved the power of the palm. Even Li Zongjio himself was very surprised. Li Zongjio was also very shocked. Looks like it's the effect of the 100 Calamity Elixir. The main effect of the 100 Calamity Elixir was not to directly increase Li Zongjio's strength, but to completely open up Li Zongjio's body. It was as if Li Zongjio's body was just a small pond. But now it was directly turned into a pond? So Li Zongjio's body was able to directly absorb the palm power of his opponent. At this point, Li Zongjio also mobilized his own strength. I can still absorb it? Turn it into my own strength. After the Heaven Virtual God form record was activated, Li Zongjio also clearly felt the strength in his body, like a surging wave, rushing quickly. This was after absorbing the opponent's strength. Very quickly, it directly turned into his own strength. But obviously, this was a very risky way to cultivate. Li Zongjio steadied himself. Why don't you try punching me again? Li Zongjio said to Qinghu. Then Qinghu was also stunned. What did this kid mean? Was he looking down on him? In Qinghu's eyes, there was an extremely strong murderous aura. Li Zongjio actually dared to humiliate him like this. Die! Qinghu naturally could not tolerate it. Even if he lost his 2 swords, his hands were still very powerful weapons, and he was sure that he could definitely cut Li Zongjio open and kill Li Zongjio completely. Tiger King descends. Tyrannical slaughter. At this moment, Qinghu's own aura also condensed at this moment. The clouds moved in all directions. In the distance, Qinghu's team also felt the vibration. It's Master Qinghu. These people also quickly attacked from all directions. Hong Long felt the surge of this power and was so scared that he almost knelt on the ground. After all, the opponent's strength was also very terrifying. Everyone could also feel this strong aura. After feeling the Tiger King descends, they felt the aura of disdain in all directions. They could not resist. Li Zongjio also vaguely felt that this gust of wind was a little strong. He already saw Qinghu's figure attacking. Immediately, Li Zongjio also felt the opponent's strength. But he had no intention of dodging at all. Not dodging? Then I'll kill you. Qinghu shouted angrily. His fists suddenly exerted strength. The strength in his body exploded like a flash flood. It directly hit Li Zongjio's body. Boom! Li Zongjio did not dodge. He actually used his body to take the opponent's punch. Qinghu only felt that his punch seemed to hit a star. With the strength of an ordinary person, how could he shake a star? His own strength did not bring any threat or harm to Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio's body also completely suppressed this force. He activated the Heaven Void God record. He quickly absorbed his own strength into his body. How is this possible? Qinghu was shocked. He saw that Li Zongjio was not hurt at all. There was not even a trace of pain on his face. Qinghu could not believe it. With his strength of innate level 7. He directly hit Li Zongjio with a punch, but the latter was not hurt at all. This also made Qinghu unable to believe it. Actually, your strength is not bad. It's a pity that you met me, Li Zongjio said calmly. In the next second, Li Zongjio's punch blew up the opponent's body. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.